Well, good afternoon. Happy Sunday, February 2nd, 2025. I just figured I'd throw up a quick stream, see if anybody wanted to come in and have a little yatter. And also to point out some things that are very disturbing with most of the folks out here and their fucking emotional involvement in all this stuff. Because, how you feel is how you should think, apparently. 585-454-9932. Feel free to call in if you choose. We do have either people or person on their way in. Let me see if I can't open my stream up over here on the tubes of you. Come on there, YouTube. Do your thing. I gotta turn off the volume and let's see what happens there. What up there, Lucky? How the hell are you? I just had some time to kill while my pork chops defrost. And I was watching a few different things out here. And what are you doing on now? We're having a nooner. Could have had a nooner. Could have had me at noon. Now you got me at noon. Oh, I'm just killing time. Without any assault weapon or anything like that. But if time could be shot, I'd be shooting at it. Why not? Kill some fucking time. But, shout out to that Murphy knows all. I don't care what anybody says. That guy, get a clue. He's fucking, he's a character, man. He is a fucking character. It's a Murphy knows all is his stream. I call him get it. He's got to get it something. But, yeah. But you can't really argue with the facts that he puts out in many cases, because you could just go right back to the hearings like you can with me. Just go right back to the hearings and just observe what's being said and then try to think it through, make some sense of it, right? And there's so many incredible things that have been said. And yet, nobody seems to think that they make a difference or move the needle or making a statement, when in fact, facts tell you the real story as the story is going to be given to you, right? So, I said a long time ago that people should have paid a lot more attention to Dylan. And I really don't care if you think I'm picking on somebody. My disclaimer is that I suggest that all the facts are open to any speculation whatsoever, regardless of the conclusion of the facts. So if the facts are put in a way that impugn Dylan or someone else, that's just the way it is. That's not a personal attack. I'm not trying to destroy this person's reputation, but you can't run away from what is and then say, I'm clean as a fucking whistle. And then nobody on the internet wants you to talk about, don't talk about the victims. What the fuck? Don't talk about the victims, huh? But we let other creators talk about the victims in some very vile, filthy, fucking nasty ways. Let me see here. If I got that one. Let's see. Let's see how this plays out. Volume is up. To me, what I want to show you, this is the epitome of emotional filth. And for whatever reason, that seems to be what Americans have been trained to do. You've been trained to think based on how you feel. So you take whatever the action may be being stated, or you take the event and you let your emotion fucking drive your brain. And that's why a lot of you fucking girls end up with babies and no daddies, because you let your emotions take you. Cut it the fuck out. It's not that hard to do. Thinking and being emotional, it can be done at the same time. You could be emotionally fucking upset because the facts are bringing you there. But you just let all these creators just lead you by your fucking nose. And, they present information that's a lot of it's factual, but then their interpretation of it is just preying on your emotions. It's kind of sad. I mean, we're losing the race as far as military superiority, infrastructure superiority, educational superiority. We're way behind China. Americans just don't want to accept that, but that's the fact. They're surpassing our Navy. They're surpassing our Air Force. They're surpassing our missile technology. They're surpassing our fucking scientific because all of your companies have transferred all of their shit over to China because there's no regulations there. There's nobody there doing anything but telling them to achieve, even though it's for the government's profit, not the citizens. They're taking advantage of the citizens over there. And over here, it's all about emotions. Oh, you can't break up. Don't break up their family. Well, maybe that family shouldn't have crossed the fucking border illegally. Maybe you ought to put the onus on where it belongs. Not on Americans saying, I don't want to feed and house 21 million fucking people from around the world. Go back to your own country and do it. Clearly, you had the resources to walk here or get here. You should have used that to better your living conditions in the country you came from. You dumb fucks. Get the fuck out of here. And yet you let all these people with emotion, well, she's a girl too. No, she's got a cock. No. You can't change that. I don't care how you feel. You fucking empty-headed twits. So, I'm just saying. We got to stop letting people we know think with their emotions. Don't let your emotions, like, what do you think? You're a better fucking person? You're morally superior to others because your emotions play a role in the way you think? Holy fuck. If that's the way you live your life, you got to stay the fuck away from me. I'm not a fan of knowing what anybody does in their bedroom either. Unless they're going to combine me in that activity, then I'm going to be kind of suspicious of what exactly we're going to be doing. But I'm just saying, on a whole, what is wrong with us? What? No, don't tell me let's get back to the subject at hand. I can get on any subject I want. And if you don't like hearing facts that because they offend your emotions, get the fuck out of here. Like I need you in here. No, I need people in here to spread this fucking shit around the world. Not using my name, but use your brains, for fuck's sakes. Use your brains. Oh my God. So, okay, let's get back to the fucking topic that I listed in the stream. How is it back in 2023 when I was starting to collect information that showed real big problems with this investigation, real big problems when it came to the fucking what they claimed to be witnesses? I was attacked and fucking blocked and not brought on channels, and everybody wanted to talk about that stupid motherfucking Linda Lane video following a car that we now pretty much can be assured there is no car involved in this crime. And if there is, it isn't a white four-door sedan of any make and model. Though there just seems to be no way a sensible fucking analysis of the data that we have connects anybody's car that's white to that house that night during the crime. And we know that because of what's been going on in these hearings. Right? So after the crime, after the car left, the dog barks for 25 minutes straight. Well, what was he barking at? Why wasn't he barking during the crime when the person from inside that car was in there slaughtering 4 fucking adults? What's up? That's how a thinker thinks, you see? 4 people were viciously murdered by a knife. And the dog didn't bark? I don't want to hear about them videos, Coffee. I really don't want to hear anything about these people, these stupid fucking jerk-off creators that couldn't fucking masturbate themselves to completion if they tried. Take them creators and stick them up somebody's ass, if not your own. I don't give a fuck what these people on the internet are telling you. I don't give a fuck. All that matters is the information that's verifiably being given to you through the process of fucking the justice system. That's it. And we're now finding out the justice system seems to lie as conveniently as anybody else that's out here trying to hustle you on the internet. I don't give a fuck about the video of Linda Lane or somebody seeing someone carrying a dog. Who gives a rat's fuck? What's that got to do with what we're really looking at here? That's the problem with the emotions. It's so easy to get emotionally caught up. Oh, look, there's a guy carrying a dog. Jesus Christ. Oh, look, there's a fart. Yikes. This is just crazy what we're trying to experience out here. The bottom line is, when you listen to those hearings, there's nothing in that PCA that you can even, there's nothing in the PCA that makes any sense. And provably, the entire document is a lie. And therefore, any warrant issued from that document should be excluded. any evidence collected. I don't give a fuck what the evidence could be. It could show Brian Kohlberger standing over a victim with a knife raised in the air. That has been obtained through an unlawful warrant, and that you lied. You lied about the car. You lied about its location. You lied about the pings. You lied about the witness testimony. You ignored Bethany's testimony. You actually hid her testimony from everybody for 2 years. You got a footprint coming out of Dylan's fucking bedroom. But you made that footprint look like it was just some random footprint in a hallway. No. That's why facts matter. That's why that's all that ever matters. The idea that these two young women can't be considered as suspects because of some bleeding heart fucking liberal stupid pieces of shit, it's got to stop. They're the only two people that we can confirm were in that house before, during, and after. They're the only two people that, according to the PCA, can tell you exactly where everybody was the whole fucking night. They're the only people that waited 8 motherfucking hours to call the police. And there is never, ever, ever in all of my life been a set of circumstances in that way that don't make the party or parties involved in the crime. Never. Never. That's why you should stick to facts and not your emotions. I'm like, is being fucking, I don't even know what you call with it. What emotion you would ascribe to this. I'm not mad at anybody. I'm perplexed. I'm stunned at how many fucking tens of thousands of millions of you follow people around that are just a bunch of fucking lunatics preying on your emotions. And they're preying on your emotions because you wear them on your fucking sleeve for people to attack them. Can that be seen? Hook up line. There you go. That kind of way of living and that kind of way of fucking using your brain, which is a non-use of your brain, leads to this. This is what it leads to.
I don't even want to tell you what I see. You got it. A lot of you got it. They can't tell me it's not real. I'm so happy that we know what you did.
He's got
the guts.
Coke coming out of his nose. Look, or a booger.
As it validifies upward.
Yeah, start crying, you fucking loser.
We know what we see. We know what we see. You've seen the pictures.
Yeah, magnified bullshit.
Somebody pissing on Ethan's face.
You sick, filthy cocksucker.
Allegedly.
You fucking puke.
I'm supposed to say it to be politically correct.
Yeah, that ain't a cult leader. What is that? He's like that fucking jerk off in jail that killed them fucking actresses. This filthy piece of fucking shit. This is what you people help create. Streamers, this is the extreme example. Okay? But that's what you fucking people create out here with your emotions. Pieces of shit like that have emotional issues that the last thing they should be doing is streaming. Right? They should be seeing a fucking therapist 24/7. They ought to reopen the fucking institutions that used to house people like this. No, they've turned them loose on YouTube. They turn them loose on YouTube. Yikes. Yeah, go follow that guy. I'm sure you'll learn something from him. Go follow all these people, these fucking idiots with all these grand conspiracies. From the fucking drugs to the frats to the fucking joggers to the fucking grub truck to the fucking Go ahead, follow them fucking people and ignore what's right in front of your fucking face. Statements coming out of a court. It's fucking insane, folks. That's why when they say, oh, you don't like Pavarotti. No, I don't like that fucking eyebrow jumping, forehead jerking around fucking idiot telling me who fucking committed this crime. And then everything that comes out of the courtroom becomes a boom. It's a boom. Oh my God. What up there, Anna? I'm just stunned at the fucking complexity of the ignorance. It's just shocking. It really is shocking. And the bottom line is, why is it that we've never, up to this very day, we've never ever taken and painted the picture of the people that were in that home being involved in one way, shape, or form, potentially involved with what happened here? I don't understand how that's been off limits and how so many of the things that have come from the court, everybody that's a fucking guilter is willing to say, well, we don't know all the information. We don't know this. We don't know. No, we don't. We don't know what. We don't know your fantasizable fucking bullshit that the guy made a U-turn. Something you can't fucking prove. Something no camera can identify and no phone ping can identify. We're supposed to accept that? Well, emotionally, yeah, because, Brian did it. I see it on Facebook. I joined a Facebook just to fucking slap fucking people around with this idea this kid's guilty. I don't know that he's guilty or innocent. But the fact that you can conceivably believe in your brain, because that's what you're doing is believing. You're not thinking, you're believing. Your emotions are involved. And you can't analyze what really happened that day. From the very beginning, the 8-hour delay should have been all we needed to discuss. What the fuck was these people? What were these people doing in that house? Why were all of those people there in the morning, but not the police? Those are questions that need answers. But a lot of you said those aren't words a college student would say, clad in black. I agree with you. But I accepted what the cops had put in the PCA at face value, because at that point in time, folks, and this is a great example, you had nothing to contrast it with. So when you read the PCA and she said a man was walking towards her, clad in black with a black mask, okay, and bushy eyebrows, you had nothing to contradict that. So at that moment in time, even though that moment lasted almost 2 fucking years, you have to accept it as fact. Then and only then, when a contravening fact comes forward to show you that that's not accurate, then you have to change your position. And then you have to take the information that's given to you that contradicts that and see how it fits into this puzzle, man. I don't really know how we've been, a lot of people have got a lot of reasons to explain it, but we've all been convinced to think with our emotions. I can't watch people like Dan Bongino or Tucker Carlson or Joe Rogan or fucking Rachel Maddow or fucking any of the fucking Jake Tapper. I can't listen to any of them people. I can't listen to politicians anymore. I just can't do it. I got to read the documents. I got to stay away from people's opinions because it's always based on some emotional fucking nightmare. It's like, holy fuck, man. Really? You don't think what Dylan did is suspicious? Oh, she's just a girl. Really? Huh. I guess that's all you need to be is have a fucking, just like when I went to divorce court and I told the judge, if I had a pair of fucking tits, I'd be getting fucking shared custody. In New York, you just need a pair of titties to get your kid. I know an ex-girlfriend that abandoned her kids and came back to court after being a drug addict, okay, and a prostitute, and came back to court and within a month had custody of her kids again. She'd abandoned her kids for 2 years. Oh, my analysis that you must have a pair of tits to get custody must be fucking mean. I'm a prick. I'm a jerk off. No, I've experienced that in real life. Not just in my court case, but in other court cases that I know of men. And what? Oh, well, the mother needs her kid. Fuck your emotions, man. That's just crazy how people are just allowing themselves to be led down the fucking street by their emotions. And everything is off limits because it offends your emotions. Listen, I would piss on Tommy Jude's face just to offend your emotions, folks. I'd happily do that. How dare he come forward with something like that? How dare Bubbly Waters and other people doing all this analysis of video and fucking pictures and stories? How dare they even be allowed to exist? How do we allow them to fucking surface and surround us? Because that's really what's happened. There's very few people that focus on the facts. I don't even fucking. Now that there's actual fucking statements coming out of a court of law, which make Dylan look terrible, which goes all the way back to what I was saying in 2023, that we need to pay attention to her, build an understanding of who she is, who she hangs out with, what she does, and that would have been the right thing to do. But no. No, what's up there? Mama Bear, Truth and Justice, True Crime with Anna, Sweetie Pie, Victorine, Meg P. Meg P. Maybe she's the one urinating on Ethan's face. Were you there, Meg P? Were you going pee that night, Meg? Ew. It's just crazy. Oh my God. And yet, Dylan and Bethany have been insulated from all of this by all the streamers out here. Not all. There's a few of us that are willing to bring these folks up and just point out the obvious. This is a phone-in show. That's right. I'm sorry. Feel free to call and spit your fire at me if you so choose. Feel free to call and contradict me and show me where I'm wrong. Feel free to call and join in on the point of view. Whatever you want to do. I don't hide. 585-454-9932. All right. Mama Bear, did you see that clip I played of the famous Tommy Jude? Oh, God. I love the guy, but damn you, Dago. I came in through his channel too, so I can't. But again, I am a different kind of an asshole, but nonetheless, one of the assholes that came in through Dago's channel. I admit it. I accept responsibility for being me. I just can't help myself. Anna said what? Crying out. Isn't that the most decrepit, off the hinged, filthy thing you've ever seen? Him telling us that he's got in a video of 4 people peeing on fucking Ethan. Yikes. Yeah, a lot of you people still follow him. Same thing with the Pavarottis and the other people that keep creating all these conspiracy theories. They keep feeding into your emotion because that's what a conspiracy theory does. It attaches itself to your emotions. And that's what leads the fucking pack out here on the internet, social media. That's why there's 5.63 billion morons. Right? Because your emotions come first. And it isn't right to talk about survivors. No, it definitely is right to talk about survivors when the first thing they did was call their friends, surround and have the house penetrated by friends, right? And then one of them called the cops on their behalf, or maybe just out of a sense of fucking, dignity. They decided to call the cops and report that crime scene, right? It's way off the hook. But so far now, we have some more understanding of more chaos that was just hidden from the court. And I can't stress this enough. When you apply for probable cause, you have to show the court both sides of the story. You have to show them evidence that impugns the person or shows the person is involved, and evidence that might contradict that. That's how you get to determine probable cause, you fucking jerk off policeman in Idaho. You don't determine yourself. You're not God. You're not judge. You're not jury. You're not the executioner. And yet, as Americans, as long as it emotionally fucking grabs us by the short hairs, we run with the emotional fucking discussions. Oh my God, did you see the video of somebody carrying a dog? Get the fuck out of my live stream. I don't even want to hear that nonsense. And for you to even have that floating around in your head is a fucking danger to yourself, for God's sakes. No, there are a majority of creators out here that are pushing narratives. And they'll take some of the little bits and pieces of fact and then wrap it in this big emotional story. No, nobody said they were passed out and drunk. No, that wasn't what was given to us in the court, just so you know, Mark. She's not sure. She's not sure if she was dreaming. She's not sure if what she saw was real. She was under the influence of alcohol, right? And that's important to give to the court. This is your primary witness giving a physical description of what she thinks she saw. The court can still ignore the fact that she was drunk. The court can ignore the exculpatory statements or the statements that even put into question her credibility. The court can completely ignore that. Just be aware. But the court has to be given that to ignore, you see? Well, according to this police report, that's what they were doing. In a sense, they were, Anne, I think Anne has come forward and said that they were texting. But here's another really big bombshell. When it comes to the fact that the dog started barking after they said the crime was over. Why would the dog bark for more than 20 minutes, 25, 30 minutes after the crime had been committed and not during the action of the crime? That's what I'm saying, Mark. I deleted a lot of creators. Only listen to 3 now, including this. Why? That's like a badge of honor, Carolyn. Even though I don't know you, I do say thank you. The other thing too that disturbs me is, and this is a completely different topic. Why is Dago only getting 40 or 50 fucking followers? I don't understand. Dago used to get a ton of fucking people listening to his channel. What's happened over there, Mama Bear? I don't understand how people have. He's a very, very nice guy. Has he done some things that might have irritated a few people, including me? Yeah, but he's not really trying to invent stories to get clicks, as far as I can see. Yeah, he got caught up in some of this clickbait emotional nonsense. Yeah, and he was the creator that wouldn't let me talk about Dylan. Not wouldn't let me, but allowed the Linda Lane footage to overwhelm everything. Right? And then I even got caught up in that bullshit. Yeah, I think he's a decent guy. He should have viewership over there. And I know for a fact that he's also doing a lot of stuff with missing people and missing children. And yeah, I don't get it either, man. I don't get it either. I know a lot of folks came through there and a lot of folks fucking used him to get themselves out here. And a lot of folks used him to get their follower count up, their subscriptions. And yeah, he doesn't do drama. Well, I am drama. I am the king of fucking drama and being a jerk off and being rude and being kind and being giving. How many creators out here had the opportunity to offer to give $100 to somebody? And I did. I would even put money up for Sebastian's recovery. But not in the environment that it's at. But I wouldn't object to putting up many thousands of dollars to find Sebastian in the hopes that it would aid in returning him or anyone else. And I'm not some like multi-millionaire or something. I do well. Yeah, you are a different kind of drama. Thank you, Mama Bear. She's like, just keep that drama in New York and I'll love you even more. Oh, Mama Bear, you're all right. So I'll concentrate now totally on the subject. Dylan and Bethany are ignored. Why are they ignored? They're ignored because too many people use their emotions to direct their thinking. And in doing that, they're allowed to be misled. They're allowed to be convinced of this, that, or the other. And in the end, it's just millions and millions and billions of fucking brain hours are being given to fucking bullshit. Just insane. The amount of bullshit that's being handed out on the internet. And these, you say Pavarotti appeals to your emotions. That's what a con man does. So does the other guy with the ugly fucking nose with the earrings in it there. Someone's calling in here. Let's see here. I have to allow. Well, if you can hear me, welcome to the Your Ass Hurts News Network. Who do we got here?
Hey, Sarge, what's up, man?
Who that?
My name's William.
No, are you in the chat though? Are you in the chat?
Well, that's why I was calling, because I am, but I'm not. Every time I post something, if I close it out and come back, my comment's not there. I didn't know if you had me blocked or something. I was just trying to figure out what was going on.
Oh, I don't think so. What is your handle in the chat room?
William Tardy, like late, Tardy.
Yeah, like that's what my stepmother used to call a fart. She said you tardied. Yeah.
Yeah. My dad was gonna name my dad was gonna name my sister Never and me Always, but
Hey, that would be cool. Yeah. Tell your dad he should have pulled up his pants and done it, and let your mother just deal with it later.
Right, correct.
Always and what? Never and always?
Never and always, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, what the hell?
Guess my sister's always on time, and I'm
You're never on time, right?
She's never tardy, and I'm always tardy.
And you're never right, and she's always right.
Maybe, I don't know, but
well, it would have played into the name, right?
correct.
So what do you got for us? I'll have to look. I don't think you're blocked. I didn't block you to my knowledge. I don't remember the name and type.
Yeah, I can see you in other chats, but for some reason when I post on here, like I'm talking to different people, like Meg P. I always say hello to her. She says hello to me, and
then you're not blocked.
Nobody can see my comments. Yeah, but nobody can see my comments. I'm saying she didn't say hello to me today.
Are you on YouTube? Are you on YouTube now? Are you on YouTube now?
Yeah, I am on there, but I've never called in, at the same time while I was on YouTube, so I don't.
Because let me see your area code. I keep people hidden from the screen.
Yeah, mine. Okay.
Did you send me an email or a text messages recently?
I did send you a text asking you if I was blocked.
I didn't know who you are, and I wasn't going to reply to you in case you were. You know what I'm saying? It was a catch-22. I was like, first, I don't know who this is, but I thought it was that goofball Jeff H. That's who I thought it was.
No, man. I'm not Jeff H.
All right, let me write down your name. William Tardy.
I know I was in another chat before, and somebody said, like, why did I have 10 usernames, or why is there 10 of me on YouTube? And I'm like, there shouldn't be. It's just me, So I don't know if somebody was trying to troll and, use my name to troll or what.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know. And looking through it, I'll look through it when the stream is over because it's kind of a pain in the ass. They don't keep anything in alphabetical order, so when you go in to look to see who's blocked, I don't know how this account is, but I know when I was doing politics, I had like 5,000 people blocked, and there was no way I was going to go through that list to unblock people, right? And the funny thing is I used to play a game, so I got this. I used to play a game with my audience, and that if you played the game and this thing was from Trump, and he said you're fired, right? You would be blocked. Right. So even some of moderators got blocked because they decided to play the game. Not my fault, right? Yeah. So anyway, so I used to have, and in this account, I don't think I have that many blocked. I'll look after the stream though, and if you are, I'll unblock you.
I saw you on Lana, like when I was on Lana's, live. I seen you comment, so I figured, all right, well, I'm probably not blocked because I can see you on there, but for some reason, I don't know why my comments, because I could post a couple comments, and then if I close the chat down and come back in, they're not there anymore. So I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, ain't that weird?
Thing or what?
Yeah, I apologize. I don't know. I'll look though. Like I said, if I can find you, I will unblock you. But the fact you can come in the stream at all and say something, I don't know if a blocked person can even come into my stream. Can they? Mama Bear, all you other creators. If I block someone, can they actually enter my stream and chat with you guys? I don't think so. It would make no sense. What would be the point of blocking somebody if they can come into your stream? Right.
I know some people like users in the chat will block somebody, and I guess that person won't see them and they won't see that person, but other people can see what they're saying.
Oh yeah. I do realize that. I see that. I go into streams and people are talking with Jeff H. and I can't see anything Jeff H. is saying because I block him.
Gotcha.
But I don't know that he can come in here under his own name. I don't think so because I think I've caught him in here under a different name and had to block that name.
I got you. All right,
Yeah.
that's cool. I just wanted to check, man. No big deal, I guess, but I enjoy listening.
Well, what do you think
Sometimes
about
I
this
like to
case?
comment.
What do you think about this case?
I think it's wild, man. So far, I don't think really anything points to him other than the alleged, DNA on the sheet.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And
That's just my opinion.
I like what Ann said about that. They've lied about everything else. How can we trust that? Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
so yeah, it is convoluted, but it's been more so convoluted by the creators. If people would have just been patient, discussed what was discussable, and waited for the next thing to, and a lot of things are dribbled out all over the place, right?
Right.
And
I mean, if the police would have, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if the police have done their job and they supposedly got this tip, from the IGG, if they would actually went out and got his DNA, and investigated first, and then arrested him, it might be more solid, but they just got the IGG and got his dad's, supposed DNA, and then they decided, hey, this is the guy, and then they arrested him and then took his DNA. Matching.
As I understand it, I don't believe that there was enough DNA originally to identify anybody other than it being a male. So
yeah, maybe not.
So that's why I suspect they sent it to Othram, who amplified it. It's the amplified sample that's being matched. And my question is how does that work, right? If you take a bullet and I give you a piece of it, can you reconstruct that? Can you amplify that piece to show me the whole bullet?
Well,
I just have a problem with that statement, amplified.
They can amplify it, but the problem is if you've only got a partial profile, whatever you amplify is only going to be double that partial.
That's what I'm thinking. It's right.
A full profile.
But then you come back to that paradox. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 50 is right. So 1 doesn't really right. But you're right. That's one of the crazy questions I have is that if what you have is not enough to identify a single human being and you need to amplify it, how is it that you were how did you? I don't even see how any logic can add additional markers, right? It would seem like you're just doubling up on the same markers that you have.
Right. You're only going to double up what you already have, so you're not going to be able to complete the profile just because you amplify it. So if I only got half a profile, I'm still only going to have half a profile when I double it.
Well, I don't even think they had that.
Fill in the rest of what's missing.
I think they had very, very much less than that. Based on what I've looked around to try to understand, it doesn't seem to me they had more than, I'm going to call them skin cells, but they didn't have more than 8 to 10 of them, which would be an incredibly small amount. And this company has claimed to fame is that it can amplify DNA as far down as 8 centimorgans. I think that's the right term. And no one else can do that. So it's like, so you got one guy in the world that says he can do this. So how is that reliable?
I have my profile on GEDmatch, and my mom and dad are on there too, my sister, because we're doing some stuff. And anybody I'm related to, like my mom and dad, I share at least 3,000 CMs minimum with them. My sister, I think she may also be like, 3,000. So if Brian was, Brian's family wasn't on there, any relatives that he may have been related to or connected to through DNA, if they're just like cousins or distant relatives, they're going to be like a couple hundred, 200 or less CMs, and I got like, I don't know, on GEDmatch, I think I got like close to 40,000 different people connected to, and most of them are less than 100 CMs. So I don't know how they would be able to do, genetic genealogy on that, because that would take time to go individually to each of these people, track me down. Because most of the people I see on there, I don't know any of them. I've never even heard of them. I don't even recognize the name.
I know. I see some of that in mine. I'm on 23andMe. And I got people that show up on the list, and there's just no you know, I don't even know. I'm sure there's supposed to be names in there you don't recognize, but I don't know how that works as far as everybody carries the father's name, right? So
Yeah, there's the Y halo type, and there's different ones, and I don't know how it all works, but you know, I don't know about that part. But yeah, there's definitely people connected to you. There's a lot of
but
you know?
see for me that the DNA is the last question. And unless you can position Mr. Koberger in the residence without the just forget the DNA. If you can't place him there, then your DNA is just another piece of information that you collected that leads nowhere. Do you follow me? So let's say someone gives you the license plate of a vehicle. Let's say they describe my vehicle perfectly, right? And they give you the license plate. And that license plate of that vehicle even matches my car. Because this has happened to me. I had a call from a police officer in a separate location in a separate town saying, "Do you drive a blue vehicle?" Yeah. He said, "Well, how did it hold up? How did it hold up with your bumper car event in this particular grocery store parking lot?" I won't mention the store. I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, we've got witnesses that identified your blue vehicle with this plate number. Playing bumper cars. In other words, I was hitting other vehicles in the parking lot." I said, "Well," I said, "that's interesting." I said, "Because what I'd like you to do right at this very moment," I said, "if I need to video call you," I said, I want you to observe my vehicle's license plate, because you'll find out that the plate you're giving me, and if you check with the DMV, hasn't been on this car for 2 years."
Wow.
Okay. So you do have a license plate that's consistent to a blue car. I said, "But did they indicate to you that it was a fiberglass Corvette that don't play bumper cars with shit without shattering like an egg?" I said, "So there should be pieces of my car all over your parking lot." And he got quiet for a second. He goes, "So you're saying this plate belonged to you?" "It did." "Do you still have it?" I go in the garage. I go, "Right here." And I took a picture and sent them. And I took a picture of the back of my car with the current plates and I sent them. I said, "So I don't know how I'm being named here, but someone's made a mistake." I said, "It's just," he laughed. He goes, "Well, if it's a Corvette, there's no way it did the damage that we're seeing here." And he said, "Do you mind taking a picture of the front of your car?" I go, "I'll take a picture of the front of my car." Sure. And I did. He goes, "All right. Well, I'm sorry I bothered you."
You're not going to repair that fast.
Not the same day, hours later, where you smashed into a whole bunch of cars in a parking lot. I mean, come on, man. I had a guy just tap me back into me and destroyed the whole front fender. It shattered all over the place. The crack went up the fender, down the fender. It was like, dude. And I told him, he's a close friend. I told him before he backed out, "Watch my car." "Oh, I will." And he hit it anyway. Fucking idiot. But anyway, my point is, though, is it's one thing to accuse somebody of doing something because you have solid information. The license plate and the DNA are similar in this respect. They really were really very close. They had blue, they had the plate, and the cop naturally suspected me, and I don't object to that whatsoever. But when you further investigated it, you found that it couldn't be me, and so now you need to just move on. And that license plate it's a weird aberration. What number did they get wrong? What letter did they get wrong? That's what it comes down to. And in the DNA with Koberger, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was going to say that's kind of how I feel about Brian. He supposedly his DNA is on his sheet. All right, fine. But once you get back to car DNA, the office DNA, the apartment DNA, the warrants, there's no victim DNA there, and the warrants don't lead to anything. You let the guy go. You keep investigating.
Can I just say that there's other information that's even more relevant? The feds impaneled a grand jury to investigate this. This is what I said a long time ago. This often happens in serious crimes, especially RICO cases. Is you'll impanel a grand jury, and you're like in this case, we'll use the stupid car. Well, it was a blue car. Well, they called out this license plate, and the grand jury would say, "Yeah, here's a warrant to arrest him." That cop could have came and arrested me, and he wouldn't have been violating my rights based on the information he had. Okay, now going forward, you would then find that none of this information fits. The car doesn't fit the accident. So he's supposed to tell that to the grand jury, that even though the license plate and the car is blue, when I examined the car, there wasn't a scratch on it. Then the grand jury would say, well, then we're not going to give you a warrant to indict the guy, or we're not going to give you a search warrant to even go, to go any further. Stop is what they would say, right? And they didn't do this with Koberger, yet there was a federal grand jury sitting. So it's just a very perplexing case because it contradicts itself. All you have is transfer DNA. And it's not Brian's job to explain how it got there. He's innocent until proven guilty. And the key word is proven. Proven guilty. And what proof do you have that he's guilty? And so they made up this story. They altered Dylan's statements. They hid from the court that she was a wackadoodle and drunk and don't know what the hell she saw. They hid Bethany's statements where she claimed she saw someone run away from the house in their undershorts, right? They don't give that to the court. And so all they give is information. We do have video of a white suspect vehicle 1, right? And they attribute that to being to Brian. And it's just the way they assembled it all was always suspect right from the jump. And now we know that it's all suspect because it's all wrong.
Yeah.
And people keep screaming in the chat room. I get it. Why is it the blood on the railing and the blood on the glove that we now know exist? Why didn't they genealogy that?
That's what I'm asking. Why didn't they ID the blood? I don't understand that.
Watch them come back and say that they couldn't. That's what I'm waiting to hear. The fucking lab say there wasn't enough to do it. But you mean to tell me most of microscopic skin cells were enough to magnify, but you couldn't do that with the DNA from the blood? Someone sell that to me.
Yeah. Well, I looked at the Idaho lab website, and on there they have a thing where they don't even touch DNA. They don't even test unless it's on the murder weapon.
Oh, really?
So why would you even test it on the sheet? Yeah.
Oh, well, no, because the sheet they're assuming contained the murder weapon. No, that isn't much of a leap.
Well, yeah.
Right?
But the sheet isn't the murder weapon. I emailed the guy, Matthew, I can't remember his name, but the guy who's like in charge of Idaho Labs. And we were actually talking back and forth for about, 3 emails. And then I didn't want to come right out and say what I was doing. But like by the third email, I emailed him a hypothetical. I was like, well, if you had a crime that was committed and a murder weapon was a golf club and you found DNA on the golf bag, would you test that? Well, after that, I didn't get any more emails. Stop.
He was like, oh, burger. Yeah, he got the burger bulb went off in his head.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
Well, can I just say, too, here's something else that we now know. So they sent it to that lab, and that lab amplified it, and they did a genealogy lookup on it, and they couldn't find a suspect. Right?
Right.
And then and only then did they give it to the FBI, who then took that same fucking sample that was, well, not the same. They took a sample that was twice as big as what was collected that had been fucked with by Othram. They took the amplified twice as big sample and went to databases that they're prohibited from. That's why the FBI did the prohibited search, was to protect Othram and to protect Idaho. And this is what they're doing in America, folks. They're doing things that violate your constitutional protections from government bad actors, and that the government is trying to hide it. What?
Well, I downloaded I went to 23andMe because I'm on there. I downloaded my DNA profile, and it's like a text file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that text file, I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to add what I copied into the text file, which I would guess simulates doubling it. I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to put it on GEDmatch to see what happens. If it still comes up to me or if it... No,
here's what you need to do. You need to provide them with a partial profile of you and modify and double that partial profile. Don't send the whole profile because the answer is right there.
Okay.
So send a partial profile, right? So I don't know. So if there's 3,000 markers that lead you to your parents, send them a profile with 150 markers and see what they do.
Right.
Right. Because this.
That whole. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm listening. Go ahead.
No. You were saying something. Continue on.
I'm just saying, if you send them a partial profile, see if they can come back with the identity of you.
Right.
Right. And I'd be. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you would send it. I think by sending a partial profile, you would take that text and remove the majority of the information that's in it, right?
Right. Well, I was also thinking Anne could really find out what the feds were doing. All she has to do is order a kit from 23andMe and have Brian spit in the tube, send it in, then she can download the profile once it's done, and she can put it on GEDmatch. Then she can see exactly who and what, supposedly he's related to and how they got to him.
Well, GEDmatch didn't
You
give
know?
them any markers. That's the problem. You missed what I said. Othram used only accepted places because Othram is a state certified lab and they weren't going to backdoor the other areas. So that's when the FBI got the sample. The FBI, I promise people, when you see what the FBI did, they didn't go into GEDmatch and the other places that are authorized for police presence. They went specifically for the sites that they're prohibited for, right? And that's why you now have all these sites were checked. But if the FBI did any checking in the authorized sites, it was just to confirm what Othram had found, which was no match to anybody in that database.
Right.
Okay, so then the FBI got involved and they found a match, but they didn't find it in the databases that are allowed. They found it, they keep saying terms of service agreements, blah, blah, blah. Fuck you, dude.
Right.
When I went to 23andMe, it said to me that my information would not be shared with law enforcement without a warrant. Right. Now, I don't know how you as a cop think that then you can go in there and argue that's just a user agreement. That's just and our policy suggests that we don't. No. That I expect privacy there in that site. I completely expect it, just like I do inside my fucking home. And because I have that expectation, then you have no business going in there. And you know what they do? They have an independent genealogist do it as a contractor on the behalf of the FBI. That's they do this all over the government. They do that with like you don't know about UFOs because whether UFOs are real or not, you'll never know because they contract all of that stuff out to an independent business. And you don't have FOIA rights to that business. You have FOIA rights to your government. The Freedom of Information Act does not apply to fucking Boeing. It only applies to the government. You see? And so they're backdooring all of this dirty deed work through independent businesses so they can act like their hands are clean. And Americans need to know this. And we get outraged about it, but we need to be screaming about this. It's like, fuck you, bro. You are not entitled to the information in 23andMe without a warrant.
Well, I know some states do require warrants for the IgG. So, like Maryland, I think is one.
No, but that doesn't
do IgG have a warrant.
And but again, the argument that she needs to make and she is making is that you don't need a law in a state. You have a constitution. You have the Fourth Amendment right to privacy, and you don't have privacy when you go to the store and leave your fingerprints all over.
Right.
But you have privacy to all the fingerprints in your damn house.
Right.
In your car.
You would have privacy.
Yeah.
You would have privacy too to what you charge. I mean, Well,
I'm just if they're investing
without your bank records.
Right. And so it's the expectation of privacy. Some situations like that's why they can video everybody walking down the street. You're in the public, your right to privacy's been by your own actions removed. You put yourself in the public, right? But where is it allowed for them to go into a database when they're told to get a warrant? Why wouldn't they just go get a warrant? That just pisses me off.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if you look at the
because a judge wouldn't give him one. I'm going to say this to you right now. A judge wouldn't give him one. A judge would say, "Did you find his markers in any of the other databases?" They're going to say no. The judge is going to say, "Then your search is over. Sorry, officer, unless you can show me compelling evidence." And I think this is why they do the backdoor deal, because they could not have gotten a warrant. And Ann's trying to point this out. A judge wouldn't have given a warrant for 23andMe. They went through they went into my heritage without a warrant. They weren't supposed to be in there. And it's in those searches that the FBI identified the perpetrator, not Othram. So there's so much fucking chaos in this case. And the bottom line is, let's get back to Dylan and Bethany. If there was anybody I would have arrested and held in jail, it would have been them two that night.
Oh, yeah. Because if I was a roommate and this went down, I would probably be in jail right now.
If you were a guy, if they were Dave and Bob, you'd have been fucked. If you were black, If you were a black girl on a scholarship from fucking Chicago, you would have been held in jail.
Right. Oh yeah, most likely.
Right?
Well, yeah.
That's how fucked up the justice
Mhm.
system is. It's all these pretty little white girls. They couldn't have done anything. Oh, okay.
Right. See, if they would have just done some investigation and, I mean, once they got like the cell phone stuff back and, the DNA from the car and then, checked out the social media and seen that he had no connection to them, they wouldn't even, they shouldn't even have arrested him,
I want to reply to Skylar. Some of this stuff may not be allowed in court at all. That's the catch-22. This is the game the government plays. They've got these protections, these sealed information, like you're protecting the IGG people from exposure because it put them in danger. Like she couldn't even say Dylan's name in court the other day. She had to say DM. Right. And so I understand, but that tells you, how are these two young girls witnesses? What did they witness? They witnessed completely contradictory scenes. Neither one of them could identify who it was. Okay. And neither one of them could put him in the car. Could even make the car a part of the crime. Why aren't the courts? This is infuriating to me. That judge and all of these judges, they need to go back to school.
DM was showing a photo of him and didn't recognize it. So, I mean, I don't know.
I'd like to see if she was just showing a one photo or did she get a lineup? Because if she didn't get a lineup, then even that's identity is that's unconstitutional. You can't do that.
Right.
You can't put one white guy in a lineup of 5 black guys and say who did it. Right? You can't put one black guy among 5 white guys and say who did it. Right? Yeah. You can't put. Yeah. So what did they just show her a picture of Brian and say, does this resemble the man you saw? No, I don't know. I don't know what I saw.
Well, it's going to be interesting once the trial comes out.
I'm not sure if this judge does his job, there shouldn't even be a trial.
Right.
This should never make it to a trial. There shouldn't be a hearing at all. And these motions to dismiss are clearly established in the constitutional limits. And the fact that their procedures, is it okay to violate procedure and not read me my rights and then try to use that with my statement against me in court? Isn't that a procedure to read somebody his rights? Right? Isn't it a procedure to identify yourself? So is violating those a violation of your limits as a government agent? The fact of the matter is we know that it is.
Yeah, it is.
And I just can't wrap my head around the doors all being open, the dog chilling out in that one bedroom with the door open all by himself, nothing on him, nothing to indicate, right? That makes me wonder. All of those people there when I showed up at the crime scene, I'd have locked you all up. I don't want to hear nothing from nobody and nobody talk to everybody separate. You sit in that car, you sit on that curb, you sit, if I got to put people on a fucking roof to keep them away from each other, that's what I would have done.
Oh yeah, at least haul them down to the station and put them in different interview rooms, Keep them away from each other and don't let them get stories straight. If, not that we know they're involved, but potentially if they are.
And here's the other thing that blows people away, or blows me away. If the FBI had a grand jury seated and they didn't issue an indictment to arrest, and they didn't issue warrants to search, then what did they see that was completely contra? In other words, why weren't they motivated to act? Yet the Idaho grand jury did. What's the difference between what Thompson presented to his grand jury and what the feds presented to theirs? There's a difference there. And what is the difference?
Yes, that's a good question because the feds,
right. But no, the best,
always get an indictment.
The best question from all these other fucking creators is, what did the person at the grub truck do? Look at the fucking video cam. Right. Look at we got a police cam on Banfield, and we got bubbly waters with noises, and we got, right? You got all these fucking people out here with all these different stories and investigations into people that aren't mentioned anywhere in any of the proceedings we're being shown.
Right. I'm sure Bubbly's probably a nice woman and all, but some of their videos are like, I don't know, some of them don't really make sense to me that, she's just showing some like social media stuff with these people. And it's like, yeah, it's interesting, but I don't know what it has to do with the crime.
I want to know the FBI agent that's comfortable with the identification of 11 to 13. If that's who you relied upon to help you solve this case, and if that person is telling you, I'm confident the vehicle identified was an 11 to 13, then you should never have arrested Koberger, unless there's some witness that can place Brian getting out of his car and getting into that car.
Yeah.
You see? Where's the connective tissue between him? And then why is the dog going nuts after the car is gone?
Right.
What the fuck?
Right. Seems like the dog would be going nuts during the time of the crime.
That's and why were the doors all open when you got there? How many people went in and out of that home and lied about it?
We had a dog when I was little, a teacup poodle or toy poodle, excuse me. Me and my dad had gone fishing and had a canister or a little container of worms, and we didn't use them all, and they were in the back of the vehicle, and the sun was shining through on the container, and I guess it started to decompose the worms. I dumped the worms like in a backyard, like all the way in the corner, like the furthest from the door. We let the dog out to go use the bathroom. Next thing I know, the dog is out there and rolling around on its back in this muck, that I just dumped. So why wouldn't that dog have left and went into the room, where the crime scene was, and at least walked through the blood,
If I think somebody asked a question about Hitler. If Hitler isn't ready to retire like Judge was, then I think Hitler will do the best he can to make decisions that aren't appealable. Because that's the big concern for a trial court judge, right? Is that your decision has to be within the law. And the big quagmire, there's a couple of things. I think part of what we're seeing with the Frank's request is that the FBI's observations contradict Idaho's. That'd be one. And the Idaho ignored that and lied. And the other is that the guy that identified video and phone pings is the same state trooper that did that in I think it's called the Drake case or something like that, where they accused the chiropractor of murder. And all the accumulated evidence proved that it was false. It was, I'm sure the cops said, well, I must have misinterpreted it. But he did the exact same thing in that case with video and phone pings as he did in the Koberger case. And that guy that was charged with murder for killing a competitor was freed, and he's suing the town for what that cop did.
Oh yeah, he should. I mean, that was crazy. I don't even know. Supposedly a gas leak. The guy's despondent and guilty about what he'd done, so he leaked the gas in his business. But it makes no sense,
None of it, if you would have done an accurate analysis, like the one question I was watching Lana the other day, there's a good question. Where was the wife's phone when she called her husband at work? Well, she was on the phone with him when he was shot. Where was she? Was she home?
Yeah.
As she claims? Why didn't you try to find her location by pinging her phone? Doing a cast analysis on that. And that's the other thing.
She had the $1 million insurance policy.
Right. She had all the reason in the world. I don't know how that case turns out. But I bet you they don't do anything with it. They just let it sit.
It probably goes cold,
Then sooner or later, someone will pick up that cold case. And that's where IGG is really concentrated on. And I don't know any professional person that does genealogy that would tell you that transfer DNA found at a crime scene anywhere at all, no matter where, is sufficient evidence to convict somebody. I don't know anybody with a brain that would say that.
Right, especially when you don't have anything else to corroborate it,
Everything.
You just got the touch. That's it.
But ironically, everything else that's in here that we're starting to find out, if that cop would have followed it, like if he'd have done the opposite of what he did, and I don't know if it's the Drake case, the Moore case, I forget. But anyway, if he'd have done the opposite of what he did the first time, we probably would have people waiting for trial that should be waiting for trial. Not to say Koberger isn't involved or Koberger's not guilty. I'm not saying that at all. I'm simply saying that if there was any convoluted way to say he didn't do it, the cops put that in all their documents.
Yeah.
Their story exonerates the guy from, not exonerates, but their story, what's that word there? Exculpatory. It's all exculpatory evidence.
Right.
And they're waiting on that magic bullet. You're right there, Clifton. Well, I appreciate you calling in. I'll look. I wrote your name down, William Tardy.
Thank you very much.
And I'll check to see if you're blocked. If not, I don't know. Go back into YouTube and see if you can't talk. I want to see if I can see you in there.
Well, I just tried to resubscribe, but I still don't think it's working. So I don't know.
All right. Well, see if you chat in there and see. I want to see if you come up. I'm on the YouTube channel watching it.
Okay.
All right.
I just posted hello.
Can you see me post hello?
I just saw it now. Yeah. I don't know. I guess I'll shoot you a text back. You know who I am now, so if,
All right.
you know,
Yeah. And put your name as it's written. Put your name as written for your username in that. And I appreciate you calling in.
All right, man. Thanks, sir.
All right. We'll talk to you.
All right, man. Later.
So I'm just going to review some of the stuff that we have now that we've accumulated over the last 2 years. He did unsub and resubscribe. He did do that, Truth Seeker. So now we can look and we can see that footprint is now highly suggestive that it says something completely opposite than what the police are implying. Okay. My analysis and understanding of what Ann Taylor was trying to get across was it's a footprint that leads out of her room into the hallway. That's very fucked up. If that's my analysis of what she was saying. As much of it as she could say by alluding to that magic, it's like another magic bullet. We know that the description of the PCA is completely a story written by the policeman as to what she had said. Right? And in fact, even if she had said anything similar to that, you can now agree what people were saying 2 years ago, that those are the words of the police. And we can now safely say that that's been accurate. There was no evidence to support that. But now we have Ann Taylor in front of court, basically showing that this woman didn't say the words that you're seeing in that PCA. And what she did say was withheld from the person that signed the warrant. We know all that to be accurate now. We know that all the doors were open. We know that Murphy was chill in the bedroom that used to be one of the young women that owned the dog with her boyfriend. We know that now. There was nothing on the dog at all, zero. Yet all the doors in the house were open. Now we know that is another piece of information. We know that dog went nuts for a half hour, up to a half hour after the supposed victims had become victims. And now that's highly in question. The timeline that they're giving us is now very, very suspect, right? We now know that there's DNA on a railing. We also know there's not DNA, there's blood on a railing, and there's blood on a glove out back behind the house. These pieces of information they tell a completely different story. And they don't tell the story that's in the PCA. Thanks there, Mama Bear, for stopping in. I appreciate it. And that should disturb people. All of this other information, from what we can see, I would suggest that if it wasn't considered by the judge, if this wasn't information given to the initial warrant signature, then was it used in the grand jury the same way? Yeah, she couldn't even identify him after his arrest. There you go, Skylar. Thanks for adding that. The first and 5 or 6 week of the murders and arrest, and the third was done the day after the arrest. I mean, so you guys got stuff I missed. Throw some stuff out there that's relevant. It destroys the complete story. And for those of you to think the probable cause affidavit doesn't matter, are probably some of the worst Americans we can have among us. The worst Americans we can have among us. Can you imagine if I was arrested and charged with a vehicular fucking felony of some sort for playing bumper cars with my vehicle, and the whole time my car didn't have a scratch on it, and I'm charged, and they go and they get an arrest warrant, and they get a way to charge me, and they never mentioned to the judge that my car didn't have a scratch on it. I mean, how could anybody be okay with that? Well, you must have fixed it. Then show where I fixed it. This is what really offends me by you emotional fucking damaged people. You just can't jump to a conclusion that fits your fucking thought because it makes you feel good or it makes you feel smarter than others. That's the one thing I can't stand with guys like Jeff H. They think they're the smartest people in the room. I don't think that. For the most part, I generally am one of the smartest people in the room. I mean, let's not be fucking stupid here. Of course that's true. Doesn't mean I can't be wrong, but a smart person will accept when they're wrong and they'll try to digest and understand how they got to that. Not just that they're wrong and move on, but admitting you're wrong is only part of the fucking course. Taking where you're inaccurate or where you're wrong and realizing and remembering how you got to that conclusion is just as important, if not more important, than just saying I'm wrong. Right? I mean, being wrong is a fantastic thing. It's the most simple way to educate yourself, to be wrong. Like I said, I research a lot of things in physics, and a lot of things in astrology, a lot of things in fucking all kinds of fucking intense topics. You know, quantum fucking theory, all kinds of stuff, string theory, Einstein's role, all of it. And I've come up with a lot of perceptions that were wrong, a lot of conclusions that, based on what I read, I either misinterpreted something or what. But knowing what I did wrong is how I get to be smart. Not just knowing you're wrong. Knowing you're wrong and walking away is just the work of the week. Knowing how you got to the wrong conclusion is more important than just admitting you're wrong. Right? And it seems like nobody in the world wants to do that anymore. Look at this case with Kohlberger. It's insanity. The car, from my perspective on the data that they've given us, I cannot support any of the allegations in the PCA. I cannot accept that there was a car there. Now knowing that the dog didn't go crazy until after the car left. I just can't understand how 4 people can be slaughtered with a K-bar knife. I'm not even sure that a K-bar knife is a part of this crime. I'm not even sure that it was at all. And if it was, I'm relatively sure, based on the crime scene's description to us, if it's accurate, that knife was always in that home. Okay? Whether that means somebody or some people came into that home before these kids got home, or somebody that lives in that home owned the K-bar. That K-bar, to me, is attached to the home in one way, shape, or form. And I don't suspect that it's attached through some lone assailant coming in. It just doesn't fit the outcome of the crime. Then the 8-hour delay. And who said it? And like I said, you guys all got to follow. And he doesn't have a comments section, so you really aren't going to piss him off too much anymore because he stopped having comments. But Murphy knows all. You guys should go listen to some of the stuff that he puts forward. You don't have to like people. And most times the teacher you hate the most is the one that's teaching you the most. I mean, that's generally the most accurate thing. I'll tell you something too. So 30 years ago, I had a problem with drugs and crime. Okay, because they go hand in hand, drugs and crime. And when I was given the opportunity to get rehabilitated through drug counseling or drug rehab, whatever you want to call it, the first thing I said, and I stuck to this the whole time, was I refuse any counseling or any therapy from anybody that has had an addiction. I absolutely refuse that person under those circumstances completely. I do not want to be able to relate to my therapist. No. And I wouldn't, when I went, they try to put you in AA and stuff. And I did go to some AA. And I just didn't mingle well because I don't want to be able to relate and feel comfortable around somebody. Okay? That's the thing. I needed to be uncomfortable to change. You can't change when you're comfortable with the activity that you're doing or did. And so every counselor that I had was a counselor that had never had an addiction. And I listened because I wanted to be like them. That was my understanding. If I'm going to change, then I have to understand how everyday normal people that aren't affected by addiction live their fucking life. Okay? And I haven't stayed clean 30 years because I go to meetings every day. Blah, blah. I haven't gone to a meeting in so many years. I can't even say I went to real meetings in the beginning anyway. As a matter of fact, after a few meetings, I became an executive director of a not-for-profit, and I raised $50,000 to save the facility that rents its space to people in 12-step programs. And I didn't participate in the 12-step programs. Although, I will tell you this, that even though the people I dealt with that never had an addiction, in their own way, their lives were lived based on the principles of what was in those documents. Not because they experienced them, not because they had taken an effort to do them, but their life just revolved around what was in the documents. So, and when I mean the 12 steps, if you want to know the truth. I don't know exactly what they are, right? I know that the key to recovering from addiction is honesty. That's it. You don't have to believe in a higher power. You don't have to believe in a God. You can have your God could be anything you want it to be or nothing at all. That's not the key to recovery. The key to recovery is being honest with yourself and others in all things. That's the key. And and so for the last 30 years, I've had the most amazing life. Just the most amazing life. And so I'm going to attribute that exactly because I wasn't looking to be comfortable in recovery. I needed to change my view of the world. I needed to understand other people's points of view that didn't suffer from an addiction. And now I'm going to tell you a funny story. I told this before. I don't know if anybody's in this current room, but I actually unintentionally caused a guy to go back out and drink because I farted. I actually was the reason another dude went back out to drink because I farted in a meeting. The craziest fucking thing in the world. That's what I mean. I've had a crazy, amazing fucking life. Now, I didn't do anything to intentionally cause this person to go out and drink. I simply farted. And boy, was it a screamer. I was sitting on a metal chair and I thought I could sneak it out. And no, it didn't sneak out. It blasted out and you could hear it banging off the fucking chairs. You could hear it hitting that metal fucking seat. So after I farted, everybody turns and looks at this dude. I thought they were all going to look at me. Even people sitting next to me on either side of me looked at this dude sitting in the room. You know, maybe, so I'm sitting up against the wall facing the room and there's lines of chairs that go from my wall to the following wall. Yeah. And then there's 30 or 40 people sitting in them chairs. He was sitting kind of by himself on the end of a row, not far from me, right? And everybody just turned and fucking looked at this guy. And the guy realizes everybody's looking at him. And he goes, "That wasn't me." And everybody got a little uncomfortable. He goes, and they keep looking over at him. He goes, "That wasn't fucking me." And I'm dying. And other people now are laughing. I'm falling out of my chair laughing. I can't fucking believe it. And I'm thinking it's funny as fuck. Well, this guy says, and nobody had it. Yeah. No, it was a fart. It was just real. And everybody now starts fucking laughing. And I'm uncontrollably laughing because I'm the guy that farted. And they're blaming this other dude. And this dude stands up and he says, "You know something? I knew I shouldn't have came here. This is the first fucking time I tried to get sober and you fucking people are accusing me of farting." And he turned and walked out. I'm going back to the bar. That made me laugh even more. I couldn't stop laughing. I almost needed a medic. It was insane. And everybody around me, the whole room now was in an uproar of laughter. And this poor son, I hope he straightened his life out. I don't know. I don't feel bad about it. I still laugh about it. It was his choice to go do whatever he did when he left that room. But it was the most fucking incredible thing that you never know in life what you do, how it's going to affect other people. Oh my God. Well, it wasn't just so much the fart. It was everybody in the room was looking at this guy. I mean, he was like, he was ID'd as the person that farted, right? And I don't know why they looked at him. Why didn't people on either side of me look at me? When it exploded out of me, I thought for sure I was going to be caught and people were going to be all over me, right? Laughing. And no, that didn't happen that way. Maybe the guy to the right of me was an old guy that probably didn't have really good hearing. And he was old. And the girl on the left of me didn't know what to think. And so she went along with the rest of the room. Oh my God. It was just the most incredible fucking thing. The laughter overwhelmed any fucking smell. The powerful part that drive a man to drink. I get it. It's like, what is going on in this world? Oh my God. It seems like it should be a story, but I know. And I was in my 30s, early 30s. I was like 30, 31. Man, and I've been in recovery for several years. Oh my God, that shit is crazy, man. That's the way the world is. We're all fucked up from the floor up. Me, you, everybody. But I at least try to. How the hell did we even get out? I don't even know how I wandered over to that fucking story. But just beware, folks. The fart is deadly. Not because it stinks, but because it may turn you into a fucking raging alcoholic, I guess. That's the consequences of passing gas. You just never know. But in this crime scene, we'll get back to the crime scene. So we have all of the open doors. We have a bloody glove outside. We have a blood on a railing going upstairs. We have the dog not having any issue during the time they say the crime. We got a car that they can't identify. And when it was, and even to this day being identified, it's not Brian's car. They have phone pings that can't place Brian anywhere near the house during any of the time of the crime, even before and after, right? So you've got people in the house that are a part of this fucking whole thing. How is it that people that were in this house could have nothing to do with the crime when this hell on earth is raging inside of that home, right? Hell on earth is happening upstairs. Hell on earth is happening on the second floor. And they don't do anything for 8 hours. That to me is the most perplexing part of the whole fucking thing. Right? And when they finally take action, they call friends. And then a friend or one of the people that were called or they're part of the crime scene after the fact, right? That we're aware of. I mean, we're to believe that all the people that were on that property weren't in that house during the evening, during the early morning hours, during the crime or prior to, right? Twizzle Stick, Cane Bees, The Purge. What the fuck? I don't know what you're talking about, Twizzle Stick. Did you get banned somewhere or something? But how can all of that not be relevant to understanding what took place in that house? That to me is the most shocking thing. It seems as if the presence of these two young women, simply because they were young women, is all people have to exonerate them and protect them and circle the wagons to keep anybody from discussing them. And now Ann Taylor keeps coming into court and pointing out different things. She said again, there's nothing to connect Koberger to the victims. There's no DNA anywhere. There's nothing outside of the crime scene. For those guilters that want to say, oh, how do you know she's not lying? Well, I don't know. She said it in two different fucking courts of law to two different judges. I don't know why she's got to be the liar. Why is it the guy that was accused is the only one that could be the liar? Right? How is it when you have all of them interviews with the same person that can't identify a person that they claim they identified? And that, here's the other thing. The PCA says 5'10" or taller. Not according to the lawyer for the prosecution. Dylan stated he was about 5'8" tall. How do you go from 5'8" to 5'10" or taller and end up with fucking Koberger, who's 6 foot, if not more? Right? How do all these leaps get made? if not by people that are lying or people that just are ignorant. Isn't that something, Heather? They ignored. Heather's in timeout for not even telling me Sergeant was live. 5'8" and skinny. There's nothing that come on, folks. Can we at least now see that there's some of us, myself, Lana, and there's a few other creators, including the guy we all love, get a clue, that have been pointing out serious problems with this case. And they're not just problems, they're just completely inaccurate statements used to arrest an American citizen for a quadruple homicide. None of their analysis adds up to the allegations that they laid at this guy's feet. And he's been in jail for 2 years now. I suspect Hitler is gonna smash the prosecution with a fucking bat. That's my suspicion. Although he did bring up an argument that I thought was ridiculous. I honestly believe that Anne is going to make him understand that she is not arguing that the DNA found on the knife sheath is protected by the Constitution. She never said that. That's what the prosecution's trying to argue. She's arguing, and that is not her argument at all. I think that in the closed hearing or in some communication or in some closed door meeting that they have, Anne will be very clear that, Your Honor, the DNA on that knife sheath is fair game. And I do not object to it being fair game. But every accusation that led to my suspect is a lie. So the identification of the DNA is not relevant. As a matter of fact, the identification only comes because they lied. And here's the other thing that's very important. They not only lied in the PCA and all of their stories and withheld exculpatory evidence, but they didn't use the DNA as a basis to get the warrant to arrest him for quadruple homicide. And have you seen the list of things they submitted in support of the Franks? I have not. Have you seen it, Twizzlestick? And you could either read it to us by calling in, for fuck's sakes. I'm going to find out where you live and I'm going to come break your ankle or something. I don't want to do too much damage, but I do want to lay you up so that all you can do is talk on the phone. Because you won't be able to leave your house, you fucking twit. Yeah, grab that fucking thing. I mean, I'll put a link in here if you want to come in through the invite. What the fuck? Paste. Here. KB's like, what the hell, man? Yeah, I am, look at, if I'm on your side, I'm on your side. You know who's the best testament to that would be Clue and Cletus and Dago specifically. I had a big falling out with Dago. I let it go. I put it behind me. We put it behind us, and on we went. I'm not, a complete prick 24/7. You got to catch me somewhere inside that time period of 24/7 to actually witness. And he's pretty much a nice guy. So you're just going to give me a link to it. Open link, new tab. Okay. Let's see what she says. So why don't you, Heather, come call in, or Twiz, who's got some kind of fucking handicap with his fingers. Motion for a Franks hearing. Email communication between Payne FBI agent and Ladau County Prosecutor's Office. I'm going to blow this up because it's hard for me to see unless I where's the magnifying button on this stupid thing? There it is. All right. Man. Defendant Exhibit D1B. Email with additional PC attachment from Agent Nichols. Balance to Brett Payne. Email with working draft for search warrant for AT&T, Brett Payne, and the FBI agent Nicholas Balance. Exhibit statement of Dustin Blaker. Affidavit presented to a judge in Washington. Affidavit for search warrant to Google 121323. Affidavit in support of arrest. Transcript, motion to compel. Transcript, motion to compel. Cash report draft. Cash report. Affidavit to Tom Slavinsky. Yeah, why don't you call in or join the stream there, Heather? Famous. Bring it, Seamus. What, I can't read the chat and read the document. Affidavit of Cy Ray. Officer Nunes, transcript and summary. Detective Mowry, transcript and summary. Detective Gooch, transcript and summary. Emails with the vehicle identification report. Uh-oh. That's one, right? That we've seen so often that car's a problem. Payne's IM communications. The Bolo. Affidavit, supplemental report to Brett Payne. Test runs. Transcript of grand jury hearing. Sealed. Transcript of grand jury hearing. Sealed. And I think it's going to be in these hearings where she's going to show they left out exculpatory data or they gave misleading information. Supplemental report 152 by Officer Gunderson. Return on warrant. And I think that's going to be to the phone. AT&T records pursuant to a search warrant. The Celebrate report. Don't know what the hell that is. Who's celebrating? I'm sure that's not what it means. Oh, here we go. Department of Justice interim policy. Letter from Latah County prosecuting attorney dated 6/24 to Othram regarding databases searched. I think Othram's going to show you they only search the legal databases allowed. Transcript from motion to compel hearing. Shoe print outside of Dylan's door. Transcript, Mortensen interview. Order on defendant, the 4th and 5th motions to compel discovery, unredacted. Lab report 28, lab report 29, lab report 30. I think all those reports are going to be exculpatory. They're going to show that they couldn't identify the sample. The whole you're right, the whole thing. But it's interesting to read this. Sealed letters between Latah County prosecuting attorney. Sealed letter dated from FBI to Latah County prosecuting attorney. Skibuda CV, Ray CV, Cy Ray cases. Messaging with Payne. Lab report, FBI fibers, hair, no connection. Biology analysis notes, photos, negative blood, DNA, 123-23, ISP forensics. Interview with Dylan Mortensen, 1/11/17. Interview with Dylan Mortensen, 12/1. FBI Hill report regarding video surveillance. Screenshot from Mitch Nunes' body camera on 11/13 at 12:04:55. Is his body camera going to show no knife sheath there? Is his body camera going to not show a knife sheath in the voice of Tommy fucking Jude, you urine-loving piece of shit? All right, back to the data. I don't have fucking Cletus in here. Motion to suppress genetic information. Email between Gamet and Mooney. Contact for FBI genealogy. Arizona versus Mitcham. Opinion from Court of Appeals. Sealed letters between Latah County prosecuting and the FBI's. Department of Justice interim policy. Colorado Phillips order denying motion to suppress familiar DNA search and fruit thereof. Wow. Return a warrant receipt and inventory ordered. Affidavit for search warrant. AT&T first warrant. Search warrant. AT&T first warrant dated 12/23/22, which is after they, once they started searching for Brian. Motion to suppress pen trap and trace. Holy fuck. This is insane. Unbelievable. And I'm going to keep going. Return of the search warrant. Trap and trace warrant 509-592-8458 balance. Exhibit C, AT&T form with warrant. Pen trap and trace. Affidavit for search warrant. An application for an order for a pen register or a trap and trace. Search warrant in order for a pen register. State's objection to defendant motion to suppress. All right, what else do we got here? Pennsylvania search warrant. We've seen all that in court. Motions of warrant to search Mr. Koberger's person. State's objection to defense motion to suppress a memorandum support. Search warrant for Koberger. Motion to suppress a search warrant for Koberger. Application for search warrant. Suppress and memo and support a search warrant for defendant's apartment. For defendant's apartment. For defendant's apartments. What she's saying is what I've said the whole time. I love this woman. You know that? That's just fucking best. Everything she's listing is everything that I said the PCA wasn't strong enough to support getting a warrant for. Apple preservation level, Apple subpoena certificate, Apple email chain, Apple affidavit, Apple affidavit, Apple affidavit for search warrant. And you guys should take that link and read this yourself because there's much more detail than I'm giving you. Motion to suppress Amazon account and all of the particulars. Motion to suppress Google warrants and all the particulars. Yeah. So she's doing essentially what I said she would do in the very, very beginning. And this is why a preliminary hearing was avoided by fucking crack smoking Santa Claus looking piece of shit, Bill Thompson. Right? Fucking believable. The biggest scary puzzle ever. People involved in this case on an empty date, on an expiry date. Hope they go to these policemen. If they screwed all of this up, if they made leaps of fucking logic or they got tunnel vision, I don't care what their motive is. They're doing the same thing here that they did in Stickergate. They're doing the same thing here that they did in that first attempt to prosecute that one dude there that was a chiropractor. Same thing. She's saying they didn't do a cast. It's a PowerPoint presentation. They need to be charged. No, they can't be charged for attempted murder, but I get what you're saying because he's not on trial yet. Yeah, he's not on trial yet. Right? The Moore case. That's it. I knew it was something like that. The Moore case. That same state trooper that did the fucking analysis of the phone and video in the Moore case did it in the Koberger case. And the same mistakes are being made. Yeah, I hope Ann is able to get this judge to at least listen to common sense here. You can't put Brian Koberger at the scene of the crime, and a single microscopic source of DNA is not enough to make him to prove that he committed the crime. And in fact, folks, at best it would have been used to get warrants to search his car, to search his apartment, to search his workplace, to search his parents' home, to search him, right? Yeah, the same facts are in question in the both cases. No, I don't think they're moles. I honestly suspect that I've got a nagging feeling in the back of my head that's telling me that the FBI's involvement in this case really isn't solely to the prosecution of Brian Koberger. I'm not so certain that they're not really going to let this play through and see how far that this just to this is my objective perspective. Sometimes the best way to catch a criminal is to let the criminal keep doing what the criminal does. So even though you might have him, right, on any of these people involved in any of this, as far as the law enforcement goes, if you see a behavior once, that could be an error, and you can't prove intent. If anybody remembers that when James Comey was addressing the American public on Hillary Clinton, and he said there was no mens rea, and a lot of people flipped out. He's protecting Hillary. Well, not so much really what he did. What he said is accurate. Okay? If you can't show a consistent behavior and an intent for that behavior to create some kind of a result, that's what mens rea is referring to, the intent of the person's actions. And if you don't know what you're doing is wrong, or if you don't know what the fuck you're doing and the results are wrong, right? Then when you're working for the government, then there is that little bit of leeway that you, in fact, did have the intent. And in this case, it looks to me as if it's possible that when you tie these three cases together and you put the same names in all three cases, and what they're doing is the similar or the same in all three cases, and two of them they got beat up on, it would make the third case undeniable intentional. That they did this intentionally, that they knew what they were doing could result in being wrong, and they didn't do anything to correct their actions. And it's probably a pipe fucking dream, but it almost looks to me as if it should be a considered thought that the federal involvement in this isn't to get Brian Koberger executed. It's to hold to account those people that are pushing this case on the basis under which they're doing it. I'm not so sure this gets past the Franks hearing. If he grants a Franks hearing, that's exactly right. You're innocent until proven. The key word is proven. And we, the people, are supposed to pay attention only to the proven. Is it proven? And that's how you come to a conclusion as to whether he's guilty or innocent. And so far, there is no proof. There is a suggestion with a sample of DNA they claim to have processed that identifies Koberger. Okay. Now, prove Koberger committed the crime. That in and of itself has got as much weight, okay, as the blood samples you didn't do the same thing with. Those blood samples don't mean somebody else was in that house. Those blood samples don't mean that the blood on the handrail or the blood on the glove had anything to do with that crime. That in and of itself is not enough to convict you of murder. Now, if there was a single source of blood in 3 different locations, now you have to figure out who that person is. But that's not what we're told. We're told that there's 4 male DNAs, 4 separate male DNAs in that crime scene. 1 on the knife sheath, 1 on a railing, 1 on a glove, and we don't know where the 4th is. Look at that. That's just fucking rude. Tell it to the judge with all of his words. Probable guilt. Well, no, because he's not really. I don't really have a big issue so much with what Hitler said. I have a real problem with Hitler causing Anne that big moment of hesitation when he said, how can you argue that the DNA on the knife sheath is protected by Brian Koberger's 4th Amendment? And I think that question was so off the wall and so not what she was saying that it caught her by surprise, because she is not saying the knife sheath, the sample on the sheath, is protected by anybody's constitutional right. In fact, quite the opposite. No, I think more what that shows, again, is more exculpatory evidence, Twizzle. There's no way you could test that house in all unrelated. You just couldn't. Right. He did use his name in addressing DNA, but let's accept that the DNA is his, Mikey. He did blindside her with that question because that's not her argument at all. Then the defense jumped right up and made that exact argument. Yeah, the defense is saying that the DNA on the knife sheath is incredibly protected by his 4th Amendment right, and that just blah, 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 blah. So I suspect that where's the investigation into others? There just doesn't seem to be any. They're saying that the FBI taking what was allegedly found on the sheath and uploading it as if it was their own DNA to 2 databases is the violation. Well, the uploading it to databases that are prohibited is the violation, right? Because I'm sure Othram ran that through the accepted databases as outlined in the guideline. Why did Othram stick to that and then the FBI break out of that? That's the catch right there, Grant. Show us that he was there. I'll accept Mr. Koberger's guilt. If you can show me in simple terms or even a complex route, show me that Mr. Koberger's presence was there between 4 a.m. and 4:20 a.m. I will not accept 4:25. The crime was done at 4:20 a.m. based on the allegations that you make in the PCA to which the car was seen leaving the area at a high rate of speed at 4:20 a.m. I don't give a fuck what you say publicly or what you put in your documents. You gave me a timeline between 4 and 4:20 in a PCA of accusation to get a warrant to arrest this man. So anything that happened after 4:20 a.m. conclusively exonerates that vehicle. That fucking vehicle couldn't be part of it. Your allegation is the person in that car got out and killed all these people, then got back in that car and zoomed away. That's the allegation of the PCA. And none of that is supportable with any fucking fact at all. It's completely unsupportable. I mean, you mean to tell me these policemen knew that for a half hour, 25 minutes, or whatever she said, after the supposed crime had ended, that dog went nuts and barked nonstop? But didn't bark from 4 a.m. to 4:20 a.m., barked once at 4:17. I think that's what she's saying. From 4:17 on, that dog barked incessantly for as much as 25 minutes. Yeah, you're right. The cell data will show that he wasn't there. It's over there. It's not here. The car, too. Where's Murphy buried Daniel's arm? Where has Murphy buried Daniel's arm? I don't know what that is, Mark. I have no idea what you're talking about. No faith in the Idaho State. I have no faith in any of these guys. I have no faith in the 5.6 billion fucking morons on Earth that join social media and are out here alongside of me. I get the fucking heebie-jeebies just knowing that. I don't care how you feel or what you believe. Are you guys insane? I don't understand how we fucking can associate with so many fucking idiots, and so many people a lot of these fucking people just find it as a way to make money. I know it sounds unbelievable that I could actually be the most calm, reasonable, well-spoken, best-dressed guy to come out here and tell you my fucking stories without swearing. I mean, I do run a very successful business, and I have for a very long time. Trust me when I tell you that my presentation to the client is not what you're hearing here on the internet when I talk about this case. This is the raw me where there's just no holding back. I'm just flabbergasted. I can't even, that's a word you don't get to use often, fucking flabbergasted. And it's funny, the people that are, there's a few of us out here that stick with the facts, and we're some of the most hated people out here. And that's because we're not afraid to point out, I don't want to hear your fucking emotional understanding of this. Oh, don't pick on Dylan. She was a fucking victim. Oh, shut the fuck up. Put a dick in your mouth and shut it. Okay? Enough. I don't want to hear that. I want to understand the differences in these two people's stories to the police. Dylan and Bethany. I want that to make sense. I want a footprint that, based on what Ann is telling us or suggesting to us, that came out of her room into the hallway. That's what I said the very first time when they said there was a footprint. I'm telling you, I think that footprint isn't blood. I think that footprint is urine. Because you got to remember what we've read, folks. They have to use something called amino black, which detects organic material. They didn't use luminol. And I'm going to say to you that that footprint isn't blood, based on the description of how they discovered it on their second search. Why is everything found on the second fucking search? But anyway, they used amino black, which detects organic material, on the and discovered that footprint that looks like it belongs to a Van's shoe, right? And I'm saying that that doesn't make it blood. I suggest to you that that's urine from Murphy. That footprint, and that footprint could be completely fucking irrelevant to the case. We don't know when that footprint was placed there. It was biological material. Maybe the other DNA is from it, not off the bottom of a shoe. I don't think so, Steve. I understand the way it was written and the way it was disclosed, that they found the shoe print with amino black. And when you look up what amino black is used for, it's not the first choice to go looking for blood. You're looking for organic material. Now, that includes anything that's organic. Dog urine would include your urine, your feces, maybe weeds that were outside that got mushed up and stuck. You walk through wet grass or something. There's only one shoe print. I agree. But the process of discovering it, to me, says that it's probably not. It could be part of the crime scene, but it's not direct blood evidence, or it's not blood, that it is actually urine from the dog. That's my interpretation, and I'm sticking to it. I don't mind being wrong. Remember, Steve Gonzalez told us that there was DNA on the sleeve and on the leg of one of the victims, and he's wrong. At least now we know where two of them are. Is there a sample of DNA directly on one of the victims? Is there blood It makes sense that there may be blood, a drop of blood or a smear of blood on one of the victims, their arm or their leg or both. The same, you know what I mean? There is a chance that that could be true. So I'm not ignoring Steve's statement, but I believe Steve was misled to think that that proved Kohlberger was there. I think Steve has been, everything that they're giving Steve is to show Steve that they got it right. And unfortunately for Steve, and if this little thing should be clipped off and put in his website, Steve is a victim too. And now he seems to be even victimized by the people, the only people he can trust to tell him who did this. The only people he can trust to get this right and tell him what's going on are the people that put all of this bullshit together, got these warrants, went to a grand jury, and have done all this nonsense. Unfortunately for Steve, he's a victim too because he has nowhere else to turn for information. There is no other investigation. It's like the Helsinki syndrome. Where's he going? Unfortunately, I don't think Steve knows any more than anybody else, in all fairness. And Steve, I think, is doing what a lot of people do. They have to trust the police, and the police have these poor people captured. Right? And I feel for the parents. Where else are you going to turn to? Of course he's their mouthpiece. He's got nowhere else to turn to. He's got to take what they're telling him as fact. Why would they lie to him? So, I mean, I think he's being victimized by this case. I think that the people that are giving him any information are victimizing him. And seeing how this turns out, I suggest Steve start the legal process now to go after everyone involved in this case. Personally, and as a government, a township, and a state. Even judge, everyone. Because as of now, in all fairness, if you look at what's being shared in the court and what's coming out through actual statements in a courtroom and document filing, this is completely fucked up from the floor up. And I can't even tell you, I have a compassion for the families in that all they know is what they know. I don't care if he's retired or not. Fuck that guy. Cancel his retirement. That would disgust me too as a parent. I don't recall. Unbelievable. What do you mean you don't recall? I mean, how many folks, I make mistakes because I trust my memory to supply me with the facts. I trust my brain to hang on to the information. Like I hung on to that story that Dylan's friend said, or not Dylan, Bethany's friend said that Bethany saw a naked man running from the property. Even though that's not completely correct, we now found out that Bethany's statement is connected to either some guy in undershorts or some guy naked running from the property. Right? So, sorry. Do I get things wrong on here and there? I do. Not because I'm trying to paint a picture, but because sometimes things get a little scrambled up in people's brains. But I remember so much of what happened in accurate detail. And that's just how I am as a person. Listen, I don't really think Steve wants to hear any of the things that would show the police fucked this case up. That's the last thing these parents want to hear. Because again, we don't know if Brian did this or not. I'm not arguing for the kid's innocence. But we live in a country where there are certain things that must take place in order to charge and imprison and even execute an American citizen. And I don't care if you're Brian Kohlberger or some kid in Chicago. It just doesn't really sit well with me that the witness that told you what the guy looked like is in the PCA, but that witness couldn't identify her own hand in a fucking bright room from that night. She probably wouldn't have been able to tell you the color of her own hair. And can I just say something else? Look at this is really going to blow you away. Why would Dylan Mortensen say that the guy was 5'8" and skinny, which is the height of Dylan Mortensen? Remember, I've been saying this the whole time. Her perspective from her bedroom to the living space is separated by 4 to 6 inches of floor height. And if you take 5'8" and you add 4 inches to it, you get 6 feet. If you take 4'8" and you remove 4 inches, you get 5 feet 4. And that brings you all the way back to September 2021. That's a lead that I would have followed. That's a complete lead that I would have followed. I would have, there was too many connections in the execution of this crime. There's just too many connections for that to have ignored it. The idea that somebody ran off there in their undershorts or naked from Bethany completely exonerates or completely makes the argument of a car in your PCA bullshit. Why didn't you use what she said? Why didn't you say, and this is why I say it's been left out. This is what I mean by taking the facts that you have and trying to understand them, not make up a story to fit your narrative. Why was Bethany's story of a nude dude or a dude in fucking underwear running from the property not included this way? Witness number 2. Witness an individual, unclothed, running from the house towards the parked suspect vehicle 1. Because Bethany didn't say that that person ran that fucking way. That's why Bethany was kept out. That explains why Bethany's statements were kept out of the document. Because had her view been that of somebody running across her window towards the apartment next door to her, on her right where the car was parked in the back, according to the police, had her description of the person leaving the property been consistent with that direction, it would have been on the fucking PCA. Her description, and that's why she's saying it's exculpatory, the investigator said, and you to her experience. That's why I conclude Bethany's statement, to finish her statement, is she saw a man running across the parking lot and down the street, or across the street and down the stairs. Her testimony, or her witness, her recollection of that night is going to put that person that she said she saw running, going everywhere except by the fucking car. Do you see? It ruins everything. And why not here's the thing. Why not let it ruin everything? Why not? What do you got to lose by taking the facts that you have and investigating them to their end? Even if you can't solve this case, folks. That's the fucking process of being a detective. I mean, do you think science still exists because they got all the fucking answers? No. They're constantly trying new ideas and new theories and they're coming up wrong, or they're leading them down a whole new path. Right? Think twice. Should consider yourself lucky. Grant Clarkson's literally, I am with you on that. Who she's replying to Grant. What did Grant say? Grant. Let's see the footage. This is what I mean. Everybody, these police, these investigators had opportunities to investigate this in at least 10 or 15 different directions. And rather than do that, they took the available data and they presented it in a way that pointed the finger in one direction. And that's the worst kind of fucking detective ever. Say that again, Twizzle. Is it possible to tell in the footage used to ID the car in the probable cause affidavit? Explain what you're saying. Because my understanding is the footage that she's been given doesn't make that possible. Yet footage the FBI officer saw was enough for him to identify the car. So why doesn't Ann have that footage? This is why I was calling Heather Fitzgerald. There you go. Amy. What up, Amy? Sending me links where Ann said she had it. But I think she's defined what she has. Now in this last hearing, Heather, that she has pieces of that. Yeah, see, Jennings. If they would know which pictures were used to ID the car in the PCA, Jennings said no. I show you 1,000 times. Well, just write it out in the chat room. Did Ann Taylor say she has all the footage? Yes. Did Ann Taylor define the insidious ridiculousness of the footage she was given. Yeah, she has now. They changed the timeline on the vehicle to fit Brian Koberger. Exactly. I don't think the state has actual videos. It's all still frames. That's fair enough. Yeah, they supplied her with the discovery, but that discovery doesn't identify the car. So that means they didn't give her all the discovery. Is the point that I'm trying to make. For an FBI agent to make that kind of a conclusive decision and then stand tall on that decision, that means that the decision that the data that he used, okay, the data that he used isn't the data being included in that discovery. Is that fair? Do you agree with that, Seamus? I mean, Heather? I know, that's what she said. It does not ID the car. I just like fucking with you. It's easy to get under someone's skin. People do that to me all the time, and I fucking fall for it. Yes, the Ridge Road footage is what they used to ID Brian's car. Yeah, they got 60 terabytes of data. The Ridge Road footage is the same footage that Longin talks about in June 2023. Roll that tape, says Meg. Wrong way, wrong time. It's the wrong road, the wrong way at the wrong time. That's how they identified the 14 to 16. I've been saying that for months. But that's not what I'm talking about. Heather. I'm talking about the footage around the house in the PCA that denotes the times that it came around the property, that circled the property, that it parked, that the crime was committed, and the person took off at a high rate of speed. That's the video I'm talking about. And she don't have that video. She has pieces of it. Pieces of it! So saith the Sarge. Oh, man, I can't tell you. It's fucking awesome. Just fucking with people. Where is that thing? X. I'm getting a notification to, are we in agreement on the perspective I just laid out, Heather? I guess I'm going to have to make you your own video. No, you could come up here and talk. You could come up here and lay it out. I'll be very polite. I won't say anything. I won't interrupt you, and I'll write my questions down before I ask them to you. How about that there, Heather? Or Twizzle? One of you, listen, I'm going to start taking away blue wrenches in here. I mean, what the? Yeah, you could put a voice changer. I don't care what your voice sounds like. Just don't come in here calling yourself Heather, dude. I will chop that thing off and stitch it to your forehead. Not that there's anything wrong with the people who do that. I think that's wild. If you're that convinced you're a woman, I think that's fucking wild. Go for it. I wish there was a way. Listen, I wish there was a way science could give me the power of Christ. And I could decide that I'm Christ himself. And somehow some kind of surgery or scientific trick would give me the power of Christ to compel you. Remember that movie there, The Exorcist? I mean, if he could be a girl, why can't I be Christ? That's all I'm saying. I'll keep my penis. Honest to God. That's all I'm saying, science. You better get your act together, science. Come on, Musk. Come on, you fucking people in physics. Let's go. Old Sarge just wants to be. Come on, Heather. Get in here. What the fuck? Oh, my God. YouTube. I got to go play another video. Oh, my God. You guys like how these people want to make their arguments in the chat room? I want to understand. What video is she talking to her? I don't want to hear hands. 2A is the video on King Road. Now you're referring to the thing that I don't have open anymore. Oh, man, hang on a second, folks. Let me screen this because for some reason I think we're talking across each other. Skip there, lady. Hold it. Okay. Now let me go back. Where did she go? Didn't call in, ain't in the fucking room. Unblock on YouTube. Heather can vouch for me. For fuck's sakes. I want to hang out with the twin gang. I don't know what you're talking about. Ain't no one blocked. How are you blocked? Who are you talking to? Well, that's no fun. Tara on YouTube. I don't know. If I blocked you, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. There was a reason for it. But anyway, you're right. She does say she's got all of that video. She does say she's got all of that video in 2A on King Street. Okay, Heather? She mentions a video on King Street. She's got it all. But isn't the crime on Queen Road? Right? Isn't there a video that shows the car going up and around, blah, 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 blah? You're telling me that that's the video on King Street. Then why the other day did she say that the video that she has or the images from the images she has don't show the identity of the car? I guess that's where I'm getting confused because she just said that last week, Heather. Oh, 11-12 King. Okay. All right. Why is she saying the video they gave her doesn't identify the car? We live in a simulation. No, we don't live in a simulation. We are the creators of the simulation. So if we are, you can call it a simulation, but just be clear that that simulation is created by each and every one of us that participate in it. We can change the simulation. That's the secret that's been hid from people. Yes, you can call this a simulation all you want. It's real as can be. But just keep in mind that simulation is what it is because too many of you dumb fucks out here allow other people to tell you what to think and you buy into it. You don't even realize it. Which only wants still shots. Okay. Okay. All right. So what was she saying the other day in court, Heather? Okay. What Ann Taylor has does not show that the front of the car has no license plate. Okay. It's all crazy. We all crazy. So is it safe to make the summation that what's been given to her in discovery, complete video or not, cannot identify Brian Koberger's car? She's saying that footage is not shit. I get it. I get it. Everything they've provided for their argument, it turns out to be shit. We now found out their cast report isn't even a cast report. It's a PowerPoint presentation. I mean, what the fuck is that? Yeah, that's exactly what that jerk off fucking Payne said. when he was asked that open-ended question. Does any of the video and all the video you collected, does any of it conclusively identify Brian Koberger or his car? And he says no. No. What do you mean no? How could it be no? The FBI agent has a lot of explaining to do along with Payne. But Grant, that FBI agent may in fact have imagery of something other than what she thinks. And that may be why that guy's important. Not important because he's misleading or because he screwed up, but what he was given to identify the car is accurate, and that hasn't been discovered to the defense. Right? I mean, it could be something as simple as that. Remember they were trying to match the video with the audio? Do you guys remember that issue? Why the discovery was being held up? I don't understand. How could the video and audio be separate? How could they not match up? Why are you fucking with this stuff? Yeah, not bizarre. That's worse than bizarre. How do you then conclude that person was involved in the crime? And you're going to use a car, suspect vehicle 1, and you're going to attribute to him, yet you can't attribute that car to him. How about the missing 7 minutes? I think what she's saying is the car drove off at 4:20, and you're saying the crime went to 4:25. Well, anything that happened after 4:20 and the car left, you naturally would assume can't be connected to the crime, or the car zoomed off because it had nothing to do with the crime, and the crime actually started at 4:17, she said. And for 25 minutes, the dog went crazy, was barking his head off. So did the crime end at 4:17 or 4:20? Or did the crime only start then? That's the point she was making in court the other day, based on the reaction of the dog. The fuck? Well, you better get with it, the fuck. Don't be saying the fuck in here. Because we ain't ever fucked. Okay? Brian Coop going to be one rich motherfucker. The crime ended before 4 a.m. Well, we don't have evidence to show that. I mean, we can extrapolate, and here's the catch-22, is that if there can be anything to establish that point, evidentiary-wise, then it throws into reasonable doubt Brian's involvement. I don't even think this should get to a point where a jury judges whether it's reasonable doubt or not. I think it's up to Hitler to look at all of this unfactual information. Every time Brian Koberger, yeah, you're right. Every time more information. Hitler and Scott Green, that is what it is. Weird that the dog started barking, but also was not locked in a room, right? The dog ate all the homework. And it's implied that the time of death is different than the stated time. Correct. Because there's evidence that would show you a different story. Based on Dylan's testimony. I don't know how that's based on Dylan's testimony. Why don't you put in there how you've come to that understanding? I'm going to jump down. Well, I got a little bit of time. My favorite pizza shop don't open till 2:30, 2:45, something like that. How is it based on? Why don't you come in here? Joaquin the Tanka? What the hell kind of name is that? Yeah, and I'm shocked it's gone this far. I've been saying for 2 years it won't make it to trial. It shouldn't. Way worse than I thought. It isn't way worse than I thought. I went from true crime, walked away from true crime and stream in 2020, 2021, right January of that year. I just walked away. And I didn't come back until February of 2023. I didn't even look at YouTube. It had nothing to do with the streamers, the social media, all of that noise. But anyways, I came back in 2023 and happened upon Dago's channel talking about this particular crime. And that's when I started researching and reading the documents. And the minute I was done reading the accusatory instrument, I said that this is just the worst fucking document I've ever read in my life. There isn't a single accusation in there that's factual. The 7 minutes is from 2:47 to 2:54. They claimed his phone, but they knew it was 2:54. Yeah, but she also pointed out, just so you know, at Brian Koberger's car, that there were two cars, two white sedans that left Moscow. One of them headed towards Idaho, and the other one went south. And the car that went south was Brian Koberger. Yeah, listen to that. I'm not sleeping on OSB board. I admit there is OSB board in my house. I will admit that. But it's covered with hardwood floors or carpeting. Yeah, everything in the PCA, Mikey, is an opinion based on my experience of what a criminal does. Let's remind the audience that Brian Koberger was not a criminal. And he still is yet to be proven to be a criminal. So he's still an innocent man. He wasn't a criminal before the allegations that were laid at his feet. And wait, I heard some noise. What the hell did I hear? What do we got over here? We have 3 viewers. I got to tell you, the people over there on Rumble, I don't have many followers on Rumble. They're all screaming about U.S. aid. That's one of the places where they launder a lot of the money they send to foreign countries. And Trump's closed that down. What do we got over here on yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, the Ukraine proxy war is just one money laundering scheme. Really? That's fine. Yeah, of course it is. It's always been that way. Every single one of these wars, every single one of them, since we've been adults, since the Vietnam War forward, all of these wars, are just, it's insane. Okay, we have a lot of doubt. It's not just doubt. It's that it's just that he couldn't have done it the way they laid it out. That's more than doubt. To me, that's been factually established from the cops themselves, from the testimony themselves, from the arguments that the fucking prosecution's making. What kind of an idiot suggests that she's arguing that the DNA in that button is protected by Koberger's Fourth Amendment right? Who in their right mind thinks that she's really making that argument? That's what bothered me. That's the one thing that really bothered me with Hitler, that he's the one that brought that up. And then the defense came forward and jumped on that. Even the Vietnam War forward. You're right. I'm just flabbergasted that we're where we are with this, sadly. All right, let's get another topic quick. Apparently, Twizzle, Stick, and Heather, both esteemed moderators in the room, yet they won't even come up on the stream. I'm not going to ask them again. As a matter of fact, they're both permanently banned from calling in or coming up on the stream. You can go fuck yourselves. Fuck. State got suckered by a judge. No, the judge got suckered by their agents, the law enforcement officers. The prosecution should be asking these questions, not us, fucking YouTubers. Fuck. Grant's like, no. Shit down Gore's climate change stream money. Shutdown. I'm sorry. Yeah. Climate changes, man. Yeah, I'm in the middle of winter. Tomorrow it's going to be 43. It was 0 degrees last night. 0 degrees last night. Cold as a mother. And yeah, I don't even get it, man. I don't get it. There was a 2 white Elantras and a BMW riding around that night and a black truck. Yeah, well, yeah, and there were a lot of people walking around, and there were a lot of people eating food. And there was a lot going on. I can't wait to see what came first. A police officer walking through the crime scene with a body cam. Because Brett Payne, just so you guys know, Brett Payne didn't show up, if I'm not mistaken. And Twizzle, Stick, and Heather, feel free to correct me on this. Brett Payne didn't show up for 5 hours or so. Or 4 hours. How long did it take Brett Payne to get to the crime scene? 4 o'clock. So by the time Brett Payne got there, 12 hours, 4 p.m., 4 a.m. to 4 p.m., yeah. And Brett Payne's the one that found the sheath. Yes? So who went into that crime scene originally, and did they have their body cam on? And when they observed the bodies, does their cam show a knife sheath partly under the comforter and under one of the victims, face down on the bed? Is that what their is that what their camera shows? Does Brett Payne, did he wear a camera? They cannot do that, Sarge. They would have done that already. It used the global wireless client. Yeah. They cannot do, okay, but correct me where I'm. ISP technically found it, I thought. Was ISP in the Idaho State Police? Gunderson, his cam footage in the sticker gate and the IDS cop has a history of lying against the doctor. 2 guys that will be shredded. Apparently Payne discovered the sheath from Nunes' body cam. Okay. All right. Well, that's a good explanation. That means it was there the whole time. So that's what I was curious about. Could I have gone into a house and killed 4 people like that? I thought Payne said he found it, but maybe he found it on someone's video. But he said he saw from standing in the doorway. They never saw that the first time. That's my understanding. Yeah. Could I have committed this crime? Because I'm not really that kind. I was violent when confronted with another person's violence. So I wasn't going to go violently just take somebody from something, right? I thought Payne said he found it from standing in the doorway. That's what was said in the PCA. But I want to be clear. I don't think I could have in self-defense. I'll cut your fucking head. I'll bite your fingers off. I don't give a fuck. But I wouldn't just throw that violence at somebody to get something in the way of a drug or like. I will say this, folks. I will say this. I'd been sober for many, many years, and I was married, and then I went through a divorce. And I determined in the middle of the night, for whatever reason, while I was in bed or sleeping or half awake, that because of the bullshit my ex-wife was putting me through, that I was going to kill her and her family. And the reason for that was that would have put my daughter in my family. I would have been in jail. I would have been gone. I understood that. But I put on my pants. I put on my clothes. I put on my shoes. I put on my coat. I walked out to my truck because I was literally going to go kill this bitch. Okay. And then something stopped me. Okay. And I'll tell you what stopped me. Had I never gone through recovery, had I never come off of drugs and straightened my shit out, okay, I probably would have committed that crime. But something at the last minute stopped me. And so what I realized at that moment was I needed something away from all of that. Okay, I couldn't leave the community. I couldn't leave my business. I couldn't leave where I lived. That was all. It is what it is. So what I did was I went and I bought a dog. And the reason I bought the dog was because I felt that would be not only just a distraction, but that dog would have to depend on me for its life, its food, its shelter, its right. And so I had to find something that I could be responsible for outside of myself, or I probably would have killed her. But that thought dawned on me as I was turning the key to go and kill her. So the question is, could I have committed this crime? Yeah. Do I think I could have been as effective as what we're witnessing there as a sole person? No, I don't think so. No, I only know a couple of guys that could have done what was done there. And they're not weak men. They'd snap me in half. Don't get me wrong. I'm not some big muscly guy that you would think, oh, he must be tough. I'm an unassuming, average-built guy that will bite, scratch, kick, pound, stab to survive, but for the sake of survival. So there's only a couple of people I know that could have done that. And I promise you, it wouldn't have been quiet. Okay. We all have that rolling around in our head. How could that have happened? How could, and no, and no, I would not unsheath a knife and carry it in both hands. I would not enter a property with a weapon of death that wasn't already out to be used instantly. Okay. And so, no, there's no way I would have entered the property that way. Not at all. Once you commit to a crime, folks, you're in, right? And I don't care what anyone says. Your adrenaline is on the alert. When I entered that apartment to steal those firearms, my ears, everything was super alerted. Okay. And that was just to rob firearms. I wasn't going in there to harm nobody. As a matter of fact, the occupant of that apartment. Now that's got nothing to do with it, Shirley. If he overturns the case, I'm going to tell you the public won't be turning on him. He's going to overturn the case based on factual data that give him that mandate to over. It's not going to be. He's not going to have to choose. Okay, that's how the law is supposed to work. The law is the law, and with the amount of evidence that it appears and has, this gentleman should not have been arrested on that information. I ended up giving the dog away to a friend. No, I would never have even carried the sheath. I'd have left the sheath in the car. I'd have left the sheath at home. I'd have had the sheath attached to my belt. I mean, no one that did this is I can't even imagine this was a first-time crime. But let's just say it was a first-time crime. I have a hard time wrapping my head around a one-person theory, although I can see one person in a fit of jealousy. People can do some really fucked up things in a fit of jealousy. That's why I've always said that Dylan and Bethany are important in this case, because a woman could have committed this crime. And I've said before that Dylan's own story implicates herself. She's describing herself, 5'8" and skinny, describing herself, and then she wraps it up in this black outfit that nobody can ever find. Now we understand she heard someone run up and down the stairs. That, to me, I suspect, was Zaina that came upstairs to see what the hell was going on in that room. That's my suspicion. And that person followed Zaina back down to the front corner of the house and then continued with her attack. If it was Zaina, if it was Dylan, if Dylan was somebody involved in the actual killing, her own story makes a reasonable argument for it. Why didn't the police put that in the PCA? Why did they say she opened her door 3 times? I mean, the whole fucking accusation as her as a witness is just the most incredible fucking statement. Yeah, and why would somebody enter a home that had 6 cars in the parking lot? I mean, there's one guy out there telling a story that he thinks the target was one girl, and that unfortunately he came upon 2 girls in a room. Well, and then he says maybe after he killed all 4, when he saw Dylan standing there, he was too tired to do anything. I mean, just some of these fucking things. Okay, whatever. We don't know any of that, right? Right. So who was running up and down the stairs, Skylar? And I'm telling you, if you take everything we now know about Dylan's statements and you try to wrap your head around it, that it could never be a suspect. Forget it's Dylan. Just think of it, any human being. Put a man in that position and take that story as if Dylan does never existed. There's no Dylan at all. And take her story, and it's coming from me. Okay? Bruno's telling you this. What would you do? Would you accept that story from me? And the reason, listen, how is it that the FBI determined there was no stalking? The FBI's work separate, a completely separate investigation came to a conclusion, I believe, that's completely separate from Idaho. Well, during the times that the cop alleged it was going on. Do you follow me? So the texting was done during their times in the PCA. That was used to determine the time of the crime. But that doesn't exonerate Dylan Mortensen at all. Dylan Mortensen would have been aware of the crimes when she was texting. Right? Who sent the first text? Did Bethany send a text to her? What's going on up there? Who sent the text? How do we know she was in her room? See, this is what I mean. There's so many questions that need to be answered about the people that remained alive in the home. Legitimate, honest answers that are not victimizing or shaming. They're honest questions. Who sent the tip? I don't know what tip you're talking about. I know the FBI is part of the tip. Any of the genealogists and the lab workers that prepared that information, they're all protected as witnesses or tipsters, right? Based on what the fuck they do in the court of law with DNA. No, it's in the PCA. It says that downloads from Dylan Mortensen's video from the crime scene and downloads from Dylan and Bethany's phone were instrumental in determining the time of crime. Something to that effect. Okay? They may even have included, pings. No, the confidential informant is the FBI, Skyler. The party was all weekend, and I was there that night before and was robbed the day afterwards. I don't know what you're talking about, Mikey. I missed something. Yeah, Skyler, no, confidential informant is the FBI tip. That's a confidential informant. That's how they frame the work they do on the DNA. But this is another thing. The FBI going into those databases, one of the main reasons they say to use us as a tip and not mention us in court. And I said this in the stream the other day. Okay. The FBI was given that DNA sample, again, twice as large as what it was when it was collected. It was given the sample from Othram. On the way it appears to me, based on what we know, Othram did a genealogy in databases that law enforcement has open access to and could not identify a suspect. It was then Bill Thompson who called the FBI to help. The FBI then took this sample and was able to suggest Brian Koberger as a suspect. In the chain of events, it appears to me that the FBI's only work in this was going into databases they shouldn't have. And that's why when they gave their name, that woman put in one warrant, if you can authorize the warrant without the use of the DNA, please do so, because I'm concerned it would be found inadmissible in a court of law down the road. That statement tells me, connected with the timeline and the events that we're aware of, that the FBI took what they thought could be a marginal, if even possible, tip, and they went backdoor into databases and were surprised to find a name. They didn't probably think they were going to get a name. And so they treated this as a piece of information that may or may not result in anything, and then it gave them a name. But here's why I say that. All the work that they took, any of the analysis that they did, and any of the genealogical tree and the building of that tree was not saved. It wasn't saved. And I don't think that was done intentionally to lie and fucking trap somebody. I understand. Again, I'm giving the FBI the benefit of the doubt in one hand, but in the same hand, I'm slapping them in the back of the head. Once they took the sample and treated it the way they treated it and viewed it the way they viewed it, they didn't save the data. They didn't keep track of what they were doing because they themselves most likely felt it's just going to be a tip anyway. They didn't foresee that as being the perpetrator. They did not take that sample and consider that sample was going to solve this crime. You see? And that's why I suspect the FBI handled it that way. And I think that's being more than fair. So Othram did their work, hit the databases that they're accustomed to using legitimately. Nothing showed. The FBI was like, yeah, okay, Bill, send it to us. When Bill called, yeah, send it to us. We'll take a look. And they took it and they ran it through the back doors, and they're like, oh, look at that. Call Mr. Thompson, let him know that we did get a hit. We have a suspect named Brian Koberger. And that was it. The FBI thought they were done. And then they went with all this fucking happy horse shit. That's what Anna's pointing out. This wasn't an investigation that led to Brian Koberger. This was a tip that they went back and reinterpreted the data they had collected. Didn't reinterpret it because it told a different story. We also now know that Brian Koberger's name came up in late November, 29th or something like that. He was in a list of names of people that owned Elantris. And so what they did is they went back and they built a case against the guy that doesn't even fit the guy. What up there? Nothing half-assed. They really had, and I don't blame them for. Here's the other thing. I don't hold anything against any of the things that they did until once Idaho was given a suspect, that instead of investigating and excluding that suspect, I don't give a fuck where you found that transfer DNA. If your investigation couldn't connect Koberger to that crime, then keep fucking working, brother. Keep digging. Keep working. Don't take the data that you have and put it in a format that makes this guy the perp. That's where the line needs to be drawn. I'm not sure that they saved any. They came out in early 2023 and said they didn't save any of it, Storm. The FBI said they didn't. They sent documents to the court and said that. You know who would know would be Twizzle or Shamey. I mean, Heather. Heather would know, but my memory tells me that the FBI addressed the court on that they didn't save any of their information because it wasn't an open case. There is no case file for Brian Koberger in the Idaho4. That's what I remember to have happened. Yeah, that don't make any sense, Justice Jane. That's just the most ridiculous fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. He was trying to copy something his sister did in the movie. That was a theory that went on 2 years ago from all the fucking empty heads. They say they didn't save it. There you go. See, Heather confirms me. I'm telling you, the FBI did not consider this particular sample as groundbreaking, case breaking. We solved it, right? You may know more than them, but that's just that's Storms. I'm sorry, I thought it was someone else. You know. No, we don't take those ideas that have nothing to do with the facts in hand in this stream. We don't do that, Justice Jane. We only deal with the facts that are in front of us and are trying to understand them as they've been delivered to us. We will not extrapolate and create some kind of scenario or plant some fucking thing in Brian's head and then do all that happy horseshit all these other streamers do. It doesn't help. We don't fucking know if he's guilty or innocent. We don't care. I don't care if he's guilty or innocent. At this point, we have to prove that he's guilty. And so far, everything that's come out in court, every motion and every document, everything the police themselves have said can't place Brian at that house. And the DNA is not enough to convict the man. Just a transfer DNA sample is not enough to convict him of quadruple homicide. There's 3 other blood samples in that property that we know nothing about that apparently they never tested, right? And again, just having a sample, even his fingerprint at that house, doesn't tell you that he was there that night. Doesn't tell you that he was the one wielding the knife. Other things need to make that connection. Eyewitness statements, video surveillance, phone location services. He is admitting it, right? Him admitting it to a friend that then turned him in. Something. And it's just not here. It's just everything that they put down and they alleged is just wrong. It just doesn't fit the case at all. Someone said, can we see the video of Jeff H. at the traffic light? Oh my God. Well, we don't want to go that far. She's new in here and I don't know why you needed to post that. That's nothing. That's not information we're unaware of there, Justice Jane. Right? I mean, what are you saying? Brian Koberger trial to begin August 11, 2025. Actually, you're way ahead of yourself. The motions to dismiss, the motion to suppress, the Franks hearing. We have to get through all of that first, don't we? Or do you just want to put a bullet in this guy's head because you think he's guilty? You think he's guilty because of an emotional brain instead of a factual brain. We only deal with facts in here. There isn't a single fact that the state has alleged that placed Brian Koberger at that house. Every single fact that they allege is false. It's absolutely false. They admit to it. Now what? If you can't place him at the scene of the crime, then you can't convict him of murder. And the cops arranged information in a way that appears he was there. And now we know that that way of arrangement appears intentional. And that's the only reason why this court is considering a Franks hearing. There's 5 stringent rules that have to be met. It's a high bar to get a Franks hearing. It's a high bar to even get a court to consider it. They usually throw it out instantly. They don't even want to hear it. So there's something here in this case for this man, Judge Hippler, to be talking about and asking about the Franks hearing and asking them to prepare or send him more information for him to make that decision. You don't hear that in very many cases. Franks is a very, very unusual and very, very far and few between is the hearing to even get to the level of talking about it in open court. Yeah, you can leave. I don't even know what to tell you. I'm not here for money. I'm not here for clicks. I don't give a fuck about anybody. And everybody in here is okay with that. Nothing personal. Right? But we want to understand the data that was given us there, Justice. And I'm sorry, when the data doesn't show a car was even involved, when Dylan and Bethany statements are completely opposite one another, when Dylan, now we find out Dylan was drunk and the thing she said to the cop, the only thing she said that's consistent is, I don't know what happened. I could have been dreaming. I was drunk. She said that in every interview. Not he was clad in black and had a mask on. She didn't say that in every interview. As a matter of fact, she contradicts that narrative in the PCA in her interviews by saying she can't be sure. She doesn't know what she saw. She was under the influence of alcohol. She thought it might be a dream. When your primary witness can't be sure, they are no longer a primary witness. So where's the witness? That's the truth, right? So now what do you do with that? You throw Dylan out the window. Now we know Bethany claims she saw a man run away from that property that was unclothed or in underwear. That throws the car out of the fucking PCA. Now what are you left with? You're left with nothing. You pointed to an individual that with items that aren't verifiable, and we've known that now for more than a year, 2 years. Your opinions pointed to Brian Koberger, but your facts can't support your opinion. So, like they say, opinions are like assholes. We all got one. Huh. It's just that's what it encourages us. And there's 150 of us in here. That's what's got us by the short hairs. We just want to understand, and we'd like to see this be adjudicated fairly. And the people that wrote that PCA, based on what we now know, they should be held to account. Critical information from cast report was ignored or more likely left out. You're right. They didn't even do a cast report according to Ann. They did a PowerPoint presentation based on data they got from the cell phone providers. But as Cy Ray said, there's critical pieces of information left out. And with that being left out, you can't locate that phone, right? Judge said taking clothes off at the end of stairs, putting them in a garbage bag. What stairs? I don't know how the judge even knows that or where that even came from. The case smells like a witness protection extraction. That's fucking epic, man. Yeah. It's crazy. So that's what the judge has that in an affidavit. I'm just happy not to be attacked by a million fucking mouth breathing, knuckle dragging Neanderthals. It's no wonder Manny appeared so drunk at the food truck. Thankfully, she was But their toxicology didn't say that they were under the influence or even on drugs. Wait a second, go back, Twitch, you said something. From an affidavit. What was from the affidavit? What says somebody unclothed while in the house? No, I just disagree with you, Leslie and Billy. I disagree with you. I disagree with you. I'm a living, breathing human being that's committed crime and been exonerated because you couldn't place me at the scene of the crime. And that's what it comes down to. Right? And the other problem that they're going to have is the 3 other male DNAs that are unidentified. And just so people know, in a transfer DNA case that's overturned, it's always overturned because there's other DNA at the scene. And here's the catch-22 when you're deliberating in a jury or you're getting instruction, is that you have to find this man guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And you can't be certain if there's 3 unknown DNAs in the crime scene. You could suppose that there were 4 people here, but how do you now make Brian Kohlberger the only guy in the house, the only guy that moved a knife, the only guy that killed somebody? See, you have to have no doubt that Brian is the guy that killed all 4 of these victims. And when there's other DNA present in the crime scene, blood in this case, you have a real big hurdle to jump through now. Were the other 3 observers? Were the other 3 involved? Did they hold them? Did they help? What did they do there? How do you know somebody from the blood stain on the glove? How do you know that here's a good point. Isn't a blood stain on a glove outside the back door just as damning as transfer DNA on a knife sheath? It's equal to her. So which one wielded the knife? The guy with the glove or Kohlberger? Was Kohlberger given a knife sheath to hang on to while they were? Here's the point. In a court of law, you've got to prove me guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. You've got to place me at that scene of the crime. And everything places him everywhere except the scene of the crime. There is no evidence to show Kohlberger entered that home. There is no evidence to show he was near that home. The only evidence they had placed him far away from that house. That has to be considered too when they're deliberating. I know the transfer DNA seems like it's a slam dunk, but it just isn't. And reasonable people, if you listen to Ann's arguments and you listen to the contradictions that the state doesn't defend, the state has had a chance to defend the statements in the PCA, and they can't defend the PCA statements. And what Ann is saying is that unlawful, you unlawfully obtained the warrant to arrest my client. And that's being argued now. We'll see how all that pans out. I suspect that there's as much of a chance she'll win this argument as the judge will ignore it. And I say ignore it because imagine being on a jury and you got 50 ways to Sunday to show that the state's argument is inaccurate, doesn't even come close to the truth. Then what are you left with? There isn't a hair, not a dog hair, not a human hair. Connected to Kohlberger anywhere in all of his life. And anywhere that you could have searched to find where he slept, where he lived, where he ate, where he worked, what he drove. And you could find no connect. You found no electronic. In other words, you can't even figure out the guy didn't even know these people before, during, or after from what they can prove. They can prove that that's true. He didn't know any of them. Who cleaned the dog? If Ann could get AT&T thrown out. Actually, I don't even want her to get that thrown out. That AT&T work by the police is it fails, but that shows you just how fucked up the cops are. Yeah, I think he will be too. I hope he is. A speck of dust in here. A speck of microscopic dust. You hinged your whole case on that because it was attached to the knife sheath. It's amazing. Yeah, but see, there's a different environment for a jury than being on a YouTube channel where you're subjected to groupthink. Those very same people are they're imminently able to change their mind when they're put in the position where they can only review the facts. That you have to realize out here on the internet, 5.63 fucking billion people are morons. They don't review just the facts. They want to think about what happened at the grub truck, what happened with this, what happened with that. Look at that person that came in here earlier. Did you see the video of somebody carrying a dog? No, and I don't want to see it, right? Unless it's part of the prosecution's allegation. I don't want to see it. Or it's part of the defense. Yeah, make any of this make sense. All right, folks, it's been a wonderful day. I was killed a Sunday. Well, I got 10 minutes. 10 minutes before I call for pizza. I want you to place Brian Kohlberger at the scene of the crime. Okay? If you can do that, then I can accept that the DNA on that sheath suggests he wielded the knife. Okay? However, I do have a consideration that there's 3 other people potentially involved with this crime. How can we lay it all at the feet of one man? That would be a quagmire in the jury. Yeah, my pizzeria should be open now. That's so. Yeah, I don't eat pizza that often. I don't eat a lot of carbs, but I'm having a hankering, you know. I'm having a hankering for pizza. Double cheese, double pepperoni, easy on the sauce. Well done. Well, it was interesting. My last comment disappeared as soon as I hit send. Well, I don't know. No one should have deleted it. What did you say? Whatever Tanka says, let it come through. Right? Whatever he said, let it come through. Wanking you tank? I don't know what the fuck your name is. I gotta watch that video. I started it yesterday and the live started. I was gonna give a super chat, but I don't take any money here. I don't want money. Don't need money. Got enough of that. So I don't even think you could be a member here. I'm not even sure how that works when you don't have the ability. I'm not out here for people's money. I got enough of my own. Fuck, I gave some away not long ago on here. There's nothing wrong with it. I think someone deleted it. What did he say? Wank in a tank? Yeah, you can subscribe and you can hit like, but you know, double cheese, double pepperoni. Money means censorship. No, I don't even care about their censorship. I expect it. They've already censored me once on here over some illness that we all were fucking caught up in. And I don't really care, these fucking people. Hopefully, the fucking orange guy will get rid of all of this shit. Our man Trump, get rid of all this censorship. Take all these fucking DEIs the hell out of these fucking places and throw them in the garbage can. Oh, it's a chat. Yeah, chat bots will come in. Yeah, they're probably curious why somebody on YouTube doesn't come on YouTube to make money. I don't know if there's many of their fucking people do that. But I'm sure I'm not the only guy out here doing it. Right? The Kohlberger Kush. I hope everyone was offended today, too. It's your ass hurts news network. I don't know what people think you're going to find when they come in here. Where did that Justice Jane go? She fucking turned her fat ass around and got out of here, right? What in the fuck was that all about? Huh? Because that was an ass I was going to really get up in. Bam! Give me back my fucking boot. You people's crazy. Listen, I'm the first one to admit I'm a fucked up human being, but I always try to do the right thing. I really do. And it's not that hard to do. It's actually the easiest way to live your life. No, I don't use lube. My work boot is usually covered in fucking work stuff. No, I don't. I can't even say that. My work boot is probably cleaner than it was when I bought it in the store. What the fuck? I change shoes all day long too if I go in and out of the house. I change clothes. You can't even find a smelly shoe from me. I don't allow that. I ain't having that, and I don't have no stinky fucking shoe in my house. So I got 6 pairs of shoes. And yeah. And I changed from different pairs of sneakers, different pairs of boots. I don't wear the same thing twice in the same day if I don't have to. If I'm sitting home, Yeah. I had this sweater on yesterday. I'll wear a sweater a couple, 3 days, but I'm not doing anything. I'm just lounging. And then I'll wash it, throw it in the wash. I got hundreds of, 90 pairs or more of socks and underwear. I do laundry once every couple of months. I put shit back on the hangers after I wore it. I eat Snickers bar with a fork and knife. I don't do that. I have a no shoe policy in my house. No, I don't live in New York City. I'm a New Yorker, though. I'm about 300 miles away from New York City, thank God. No, if I grew up there, I'd have been a mass murderer. No, I buy 96 rolls at a time. Toilet paper. I buy 48 rolls of paper towels at a time. My ass will never hurt with this, Mark and Betty. Don't you worry. The long reach of the law will get you. Sergeant Friday, Dragnet, right? Yeah, we don't do stink feet up here. Cool. I thought Jersey. Well, I could be from Jersey, but I'm not. I'm in New York. I like the state. I don't like how it's run. I don't like the people that think they're kings and queens and rule over us. I don't like that at all. This fucking backwater fucking jerk off fucking state. Right? I don't want Canada to become a fucking part of New York. I promise you that. And I don't want Canada to be part of this country. We don't need that. Leave them fucking people up there. They're nice people. Don't get me wrong. Some of my best vacations ever were in Canada. Love Canada. Toronto, love it. People up there, nicer than nice. Always have been. I enjoy the Canadian people very, very much. I'm sure the same thing is with anybody around the world. They're probably all good people for the most part when you're there for a vacation. But don't try to buy or sell your cheese over there or they'll fuck you. Our dairy products don't get in there. That Justin Trudeau came out today. We'll put a 25% tariff on America's stuff. Oh, well, then here's what Trump should say. Then here's what we're going to do. We're going to ban all trade from Canada, and we're going to take the exporters of the $150 billion a year that listen, of the money that the product that you send to Canada that we no longer will let you send. The United States government is going to buy that $155 billion of merchandise, and we're going to put it in outlet stores to help the poor. And the taxpayer is going to pay for it. Instead of giving that fucking Ukraine $200 billion, tell Canada you could suck my shithole. We don't want anything from you. Go fuck yourself. Have a good day, you fucking fairy freak fucking piece of shit, Trudeau. And that'd be the end of it. And I'd take the $155 billion in trade that we do with fucking Canada, and I'd buy all them fucking products and distribute it to the fucking poor people in America. Bam! America first, motherfucker. Have a good day. Doors closed. I do the same thing with Mexico. Fuck you. Any of you fucking punks out there to take advantage of us. We spend a fucking $1 trillion a year on the military. Let's cut that back some. No, I don't want them to be a state. Fuck them. Let them be their own country. Go sell your fucking shit to Europe or fucking China, you stupid cunt. Trudeau, you little fucking queer. Trump should say I'm setting aside $1 trillion for domestic fucking product manufacturing and creation. And that money's going to feed our fucking vets. It's going to feed our disabled and our fucking cripples. And that's the end of that fucking shit. I mean, we produce so much fucking shit. And we transact so much fucking money. We don't need you. Right? Believe me when I tell you, I wouldn't be surprised if Trump says, okay, we don't want any trade from you. And all of you exporters that are concerned that Canada is going to tariff you or Canada don't want your product, you can't sell it to Canada because we're going to buy it at the federal government. Here's your application, www.fuckyoucanada.com. I tell you, the Canadian citizens would swamp that fucking government. The citizens of Canada would lose their mind. Yeah, because there is a significant amount of fentanyl coming across that border. And there's people that come into your country that have a different level of immigration acceptance, and they're sneaking their asses over into here. Now, it may not be the millions that are coming from the southern border, but it's the fentanyl Trump is in that. And not only that, it's your connections, and you're allowing Chinese access to these areas, just like the Panama Canal. There's a lot of strategic issues that are at stake here. Greenland is a strategic issue. Canada is a strategic issue. The Panama is a strategic issue. So it isn't just the fentanyl. Okay. There's a lot more shit going on under the surface that doesn't really get thrown out there. And Trump is smart. He throws out the most obvious thing. But I'm saying I think Americans need to be Americans. Our people need to be straightened up and helped and fixed and given a fucking opportunity. Our schools need to teach that. We all know this. It's not that hard. And so this guy, you can hate the guy all you want or love the guy all you want. I just hope he does the right thing for all of us. That's all that matters to me. I don't care what the name or what party the fucking president's. I don't give a fuck if you're a Democrat or an independent or you're a Republican or I don't give a fuck. Right? It don't matter to me. Look how many Democrats he put in his administration. Yeah, of course, they're ex-Democrats, but they're ex-Democrats for a solid reason. Those people would rather send hundreds of billions of dollars to stoke wars around the globe when you got people over here starving. They'd rather see people live outside in tents and tear down Portland than send the National Guard in to protect the fucking cities and give these people some opportunity. And if you're illegal, get the fuck out, kick them out. We have a lot of issues here, folks, and we need somebody to act like a fucking dad. You know, not everybody's dad is liked, but that's what people need, like a fucking father figure. And I think it's a joke that Justin Trudeau says, well, we'll put 25% tariffs on your shit. Little does he know what I'm saying as a solution is easily done. Stop sending $100 billion over to fucking Ukraine. Tell Russia we're out. Thank you. Have a good fucking day. Do what you will. We'll talk to you later. I mean, I'd rather spend $155 billion on American-made products that could then be sold even at cost to the fucking citizens of America. So we'll pay back that $155 billion by buying that shit, even if it's through fucking soup kitchens or shelters or whatever, man. No, I'm not anti-UK. I actually love the British. I love the Europeans. The people of those areas, I think they got a raw deal. I think their government should be more freedom-based government than they are, and not freedom for a fucking guy that immigrates to your country and rapes some girl and gets 8 months in jail. And some guy says something nasty on fucking Facebook about the guy you gave 8 months in jail and you give him 18 months. I have a problem with that, Grant. Or whoever asked that question, Mark and Betty. No, I mean, our nation exists as absolutely directly because of the United Kingdom and Italy and France and Spain and Holland and Denmark. We exist as a result of you guys. I have nothing but respect for the people there. But the reason the people over here came from there is because we don't accept that bullshit. Don't tell me what to say on the fucking internet. Don't tell me to not call out Trudeau or your fucking leaders over there to talk. How the fuck is that going to? No. You guys should have the same rights as we have. The whole globe should be ruled by that. You're born. Therefore, you're free. Okay? That's it. And your government's job is to ensure your freedom is not infringed upon. And most importantly, that the government itself doesn't infringe, like you're seeing here in the Koberger case. This is exactly the most un-American thing I've seen in a criminal case. Yeah, no, I have no disrespect for the people of these, listen, a lot of you are part of the 5.63 billion fucking morons on here. I'll give you that too, right? It's not just, obviously, America can't be in that. We're in that number, but we can't be all of them. No, I realize that. That we're big with Australia, but Australia's, they've lost their guns. The governments that have been over there, they act like they rule. They're not supposed to be your fucking rulers. They're supposed to make and shake it up so that you guys got opportunities, so that your goods can be traded. I don't have a problem with countries that have been taken advantage of. For instance, these countries that we fucking take all their cobalt from and their workers are slaves because the government enriches itself. I have a problem doing business with people like that. But I don't have a problem with doing business like that and giving them a fair trade advantage over us. Not China, not Canada, not England, not fucking Italy. Fuck you guys. Not Japan. No. Equal fucking trade. And if you can't allow for equal trade amongst each of us, then that's where Trump is right. You need to tariff these people. Some of these tariffs that Trump talks about, a lot of people have no clue. You know, you couldn't sell a Harley Davidson motorcycle in fucking, I think you guys went to war with that country. Europe did. Britain did. Argentina. You couldn't sell a Harley Davidson there because the fucking tariff was 150% on the motorcycle. You couldn't even sell an American motorcycle in South America because of that. No. But then you want to sell your oil here? Well, there's a 300% tariff on your oil now. Go take a bath in it, you dumb fucks. Yeah, the Falkland War. I'm just saying, we don't need your oil. We don't need your natural gas. We don't need your food. We don't need your steel. We don't need your aluminum. We can produce all of that here. But I do think that in order to have a community, a world community, there should be some basis of decency amongst that we can all agree on. I don't think it's fair that people got to live in mud fucking huts. They need to stand up for their own freedom. I don't think what happens in Cuba and other countries where all the drug cartels run them, I don't think that those people are getting fucked. But they can't all move here. We can't fucking feed them all. We can't pay for them all to be here. Right? So on that line, no, and like with Canada, like I said, my best vacations were in Canada. I went up to Canada. People were giving me their cars to drive. They didn't fucking know me from nobody. They were like, yo, Yank, what's the matter? I didn't pack a couple of things. Can it be bought at a store? Yeah, they could. Are you going to the store? Nah, Yank, I'm too drunk. You look cool. Here, my keys. Take my car. Go to the store. Where's the store? Oh, my wife will tell you. I can't get that deep into this. They throw their keys at me constantly. They don't know me, and they're lending me their car. One time, I said that to somebody. I said, this is weird. I go, well, you're giving me your car? He goes, Yank, you got a massive yacht there. He said, I'll happily trade you my car for that yacht. I was like, oh, okay. There are currently 4 million registered firearms in Australia, with an estimate suggests around illegal firearms. Yeah, but they're limited to what you can own. Just be aware. I hear your statistic, but there's some guns that you can't own over there, if I'm not mistaken. You can own a long gun for hunting. Okay? But you are not allowed to own concealed weapon, concealed carry. From my understanding, this has happened in Australia. Australia is another. All of the European, look at all the African people, all of the Arabian people. I think all people are awesome. I think yet in our own way, in our own little fucking box, we've all been coerced and fucked with by our governments. If that makes sense. And that's what I'm vehemently against. Uh-oh. Part of my filling just fell out. Yeah, they are. That's why Trump is doing what he's doing. Trump is doing what he's doing because of it. That's why he's going after Greenland. If Greenland is controlled by China and a war broke out, we could never help the Europeans. We would have to fight our way past Greenland. If war broke out in Europe, if war broke out in Japan, we couldn't help them with the Panama Canal controlled by China. We don't even, I mean, it could just, you don't know what's going to happen. If Taiwan is attacked, we could have a problem. You can't move assets from one ocean to the other without the Panama Canal. In any efficient way that could make a difference. Warfare today is not like it was back in World War II. You don't got years to solve this problem, although the people in charge have made everything a fucking year. But the actual fighting to kick somebody's ass doesn't take us long at all. We all can agree with that, right? I know, but they don't have guns like you do here in America. I realize that there's gun ownership in Australia, but it's changed over the years to where, you know, Aussies could have all the firearms they wanted not long ago. Now it's just not like that. I'll bring the scratch and the edibles. Fucking. Yeah, no, I mean, I love the Australians. You guys are the first ones always to join in any naval maneuver, any conflict or naval asset. You guys are always there helping protect the seaways. No, Australia rules as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, they're the size of one of our states when it comes to population. Their resources are nowhere near as much as ours, but they do everything they can and always have and always did. And I suspect they always will. When America has a need. And so no, and this goes with all the European countries too. It goes with India's always been good to us. You know, gun regulations are good to a point. You know, you go to Sweden and every single adult has to serve in the service. It's mandatory, and every single person has to take their gun home. They don't have much gun violence there. Gun violence is as much a cultural problem. It's not the gun that's the problem. And it's going to take us a long time to start to switch and pull out of this. But you know, it's a tragedy that America has even come to this point where these left-wing fucking goofballs, and they're all attached to the Democratic Party, and then the undercover left-wing goofballs that are part of the Republican Party. No, they're not. But again, here that's happening because of all the attention they get. And these mentally ill people, for whatever reason, they target kids. I don't, you know. Right. Right. This mass shooting thing is a phenomenon of the last few decades. And it's, you know, it's a horrific thing. But, you know, you're not talking 10,000 kids killed a year in mass shootings. Sadly, that there's even one of them is too many. But it is. And it's also the culture in your society. Right? I mean, go back to the 80s and listen to those songs. Go back to those songs. So during the Vietnam era in the 70s, you had a lot of anti-government kind of songs, right? But very few, if any of them, were telling you to go kill people, shoot people, kill the cop, fuck that woman. None of. Look at the culture, how it's changed that way. But in the 80s, they were all fucking, even rock and roll was all talking about you hooking up with a chick. I mean, look at one of the most popular heavy metal bands that I love, Judas Priest. Its main singer was gay. I mean, it was like the most open secret in the world. But they were one of the most popular heavy metal bands in history. So, you know, the 80s was just, and I grew up in the 80s. I was a very, very young man in the 80s. It was just, the whole mindset and the culture was different. And it's changed. You know, they're going to blame video games for you know, getting kids this way. Well, what about the movies you make and the songs you sing? Right? It's not just one thing, it's too many things. And it's tragic. Yeah, it'll come back. It'll circle back around. I mean, let's be clear, folks. There's not just America. America is, look at the machine guns going off in the 20s and 30s, right? With the gangsters and the mafia and the prostitution and the alcohol, which is equivalent to the drug problems of today. And so it's kind of a vicious cycle we need to fucking break. I murder a lot of things in video games. Twiz, you're a sick bastard. Yeah, but if we're going to be America, you got from the top down. You know, I don't know. Just imagine if they can cut $1 trillion or $2 trillion from the federal budget and get that under control and start paying $1 trillion a year towards the debt. Or, you know, the funny thing about the debt is I'm going to ask people the simple question. And I want a few of you to tell me what you think. How many of you think that we owe China a ton of money because we borrowed it from them? How many of you think that? You could put one in there. How much of our national debt is because we owe money to China? You don't need to give me a number, but do you think that's a large number of the national debt? Because you're going to be surprised what that national debt really is. Yeah, you guys would be very surprised to know that what that national debt, we don't borrow money from China. We've never borrowed money from China, ever, or Japan, or England, or China, or Spain, or any of it. We don't borrow their money. We are the world's currency. Just think about how that works, folks. If you're the world's currency, how are you borrowing fucking money from fucking China? Apparently, we're borrowing it in dollars. How does that work? That's what I mean. People don't think. And politicians keep telling you, yeah, let's just add more to the deficit so we can borrow it from China. It's not how it works, folks. That's the fucking lies that you're told by Republicans. That's bullshit. The only reason we owe China anything is because they buy government bonds. China will come to the United States. Well, all monetary systems are based on debt. I'll say that again if that moves it out of the stream, but I'll cover that too. China buys bonds. Japan buys bonds. England buys bonds. You all buy bonds, American bonds, government issued bonds. And those bonds have an interest of a rate of interest to return to you. 2%, whatever it might be, 10%, I don't know, whatever the interest might be. Okay. So when you look at the national debt, maybe 10 or 12 trillion, and it's probably not even close to that. But let's say $10 trillion of that debt is owed to foreign nations. The other 26 trillion, folks, is owed to us. We owe ourselves money. Then they talk about the unsecured debt, which is another way to make it even worse in the eyes of the viewer. But let's go back up to what Tonka said. Our monetary system is based on debt. Every monetary system in history is based on debt since the modern time. And we'll say the modern time since Rome or anything a little bit before that. What Americans don't understand is money, even gold, can't be transacted in currency until the population trusts it. Now, the first instances of loaning money, just so you know, folks, that's in recorded history, that's a big deal, is in England. When the king needed to borrow money to build a war fleet. Okay? That's where this whole thing caught on. So when people complain that you deposit $1 and the bank can loan 10, what people don't understand is that without debt, there could not be that currency could not exist. I'll say that again. Without debt, that currency could not exist. Even if it were gold. And the reason it can't exist is because of the faith and trust that the people put in it. What money does, or what gold does, is it substitutes bartering, and it substitutes your specific labor and time. And it gives somebody something of value in replacement of that. So imagine having to take 2 goats to trade for 10 chicken. In lieu of that, you could use gold or silver or the American dollar. So long as the citizenry trusts and has faith in whatever currency you've chosen. And the only way to establish and know that that currency is trustworthy is through the act of debt. The debt. The bank has $1. You came in for $9. The bank is allowed to create $9 out of that one. You then pay that money back over time. That's how the banking system works. The banking system and the system itself isn't necessarily anything to be scared of or to continue to try to destroy. It's based on the solid principle of trust. Trust in whatever it is you're transacting in. Gold, when people say go to the gold standard, they don't realize you could use sand on a beach for currency. If the people accept sand in lieu of a goat, if they'll accept sand in lieu of your personal time and labor, and they'll transact it among each other in exchange for goods and services. So anytime a currency, be it gold or the American dollar, is trusted by the public to be the exchange of value for your time, you'll accept that for your time. And you'll take that and you'll go use that to go do what you want to do with it. It's not that really hard to understand. But when it comes to your debt, your national debt in America, the currency of the globe demands that we have a debt. I don't think people really want to accept that. Your currency demands that there be a debt because you're the world currency. Your shit is used. I don't know if it's still being used, but every single barrel of oil that came out of the Middle East, all of the world's currency had to be converted to dollars to buy that fucking oil. That's what makes us the world's currency. Now, there's some effort for Russia and China and Iran to start getting some of these countries to do business only in their own personal currency. But the problem with that is, do you suspect those 3 countries are a safe place to depend all your currency on? Do you think that they just won't come in? Okay. And take your currency? Sarge says there's hundreds of millions of people that don't think like you. But thinking like me doesn't make me any better, any different, or any smarter than anybody. Thinking like me just takes a little bit of patience. It's not that. So you have a $36 trillion debt, and I'm telling you 30 trillion of it is owed amongst yourselves. So is it going to crush and destroy the country? No. Yeah, to prepare for the future, you must know history, and you must not repeat histories. So there's a lot of nuance to a lot of things that we don't know because we don't ask the question, and we go on the emotional response. These fucking banks, what gives them the right to lend 10 for 1? Well, I don't know, you dumb fuck. You're taking that $1 and you're going to buy something with it. Apparently, you'll accept it as a paycheck. I mean, it's kind of a vicious fucking circle that people have. They like a lot of things you see people go after government for. I don't attack government for a lot of these things that are wrong. You don't know the process of government. You don't take the time to understand it. And so when somebody comes out and they make this argument, whatever the argument might be, you really don't understand the process of government, how it works or why it works that way. And so that then any emotional fucking thing, because you're having a rough time, it's just kind of crazy, man. My biggest concern is way, way different than I think other people's. And maybe it's unvalid. Maybe my concern shouldn't even be a concern, but I'm deeply concerned that our country is being eclipsed on its ability to produce, manufacture, and deploy not just weaponry, but technology. That's been stolen from us by your own companies here and by espionage and shipped over to China. China is going to become the preeminent sole superpower if we don't wake the fuck up. And you don't want China to rule the fucking world. You just don't want that fucking kind of communist fucking dictatorship to rule the world. Like I just said to Canada, we don't want any of your exports. You don't have to. We're not going to export. We're not going to export anything to you. Right? And we don't want any of your exports either. So we're just no more trade. We're done. Go sell your shit somewhere else. China could do that worldwide if they get in control. And they would. I don't think Trump will do that. I'm just saying, because I am a prick. That's what I would tell Trudeau, you fucking flying fucking fairy. Shut the fuck up. You're going to give me a 25% tariff. I will ruin you. Okay. Control your fucking border. Control your immigration and stop letting drugs come across your border. And stop fucking tariffing. And they do. They still tariff a lot of our products. Cut it out. There's already a guy that owns big car fucking makers up in Canada. He's moving his operations to fucking America. Yeah, but we've made them scary. We've given them the capacity to be scary. They're eclipsing Russia. To my knowledge, the one thing they don't have in abundance is nuclear weaponry. But they do have hypersonic missiles. They do now have a stealth bomber. They do have their first aircraft carrier, even though it's oil powered and it's a joke compared to ours. Right? They're on the move. They got more fucking naval vessels than we do. They got more Air Force planes than we do. That's fucked up, folks. That's just fucked up. And it's all from your fucking hard-earned money. It's all because your corporations went after the profit. And there was no consideration of doing what's right or wrong. It was all about the money. Right? A friend of mine told me today they bought a refrigerator on fucking Facebook Marketplace. And it was a junk. It was a junk. Right? China doesn't suck. The people of China are probably every bit as decent as anywhere else in the world. It's their government that sucks. Pelosi, but so did all the Republicans, the Mitt Romneys, the Mitch McConnells, the fucking, yeah, without us, China would collapse. And China has taken that, now they're in Greenland, now they're in the Panama, now they're over here, now they're all over in Europe. They're involved with all of our supposed allies, right? I'm not saying we need to overthrow them. I'm just saying we need to bring the manufacturing, the technological base, and the fucking, and here's the, China only excels at technology they fucking steal or are given, and they work it backwards. We created it. China didn't invent the fucking modern day electronic computer or the TV, the telephone. China didn't. It was freedom that caused the spread of automobiles in America, right? I'm not saying to deny China the capacity to have a decent life, but I'm saying you got a communist regime over there. Now they keep threatening Taiwan. They put naval assets there. They built bases in the ocean close to there. I mean, that's a threat to the freedom of Taiwan. Taiwan. Why does Taiwan matter? Well, I'll tell you why Taiwan matters. The same as South Korea. Because they have the manufacturing facilities that make all of the best of modern day computer chips. That's why you can't lose Taiwan to China. China would then be able to have those facilities intact, up and running. And they would be able to enslave the operators. Okay? Or put people in that they train somewhere else from their own country. That's just not acceptable. That's why certain parts of the world are important to America and to maintain our freedom. Canada is running your tech. No, Canada's not running tech. A Canadian is running your tech. Mark and Betty, fly to England and pour more tea into the ocean. All right, I'm going to get my damn pizza. You people could keep yakking all you want. It's been a 3-hour stream, more than that, almost 3.5 hours. There's so much that we should be doing together as Americans on the internet, with social media. They do, but the other thing too with China, so people do, I'll make it very simple. China can only make the chips because we brought the machines for them to make them. They didn't invent the machines. They didn't build the machines. They got them from us. That's our mistake. That's the mistake of our corporate like these big multinational companies where the seed money comes from China. Where'd they get the money? From us buying their products. That's where they got it. I mean, there's still 700 million people in abject poverty in China. Nobody ever pays any attention to that. There's only about 350 first world fucking citizens in China. They built that big Three Gorges Dam by using the male farmers in the rice fields and put the women out in the rice fields. Once the dam was built, they fucking kicked them all out. Go home. You don't want a government like that being the world currency. You don't want a government like that leading the world. Because then you're going to have a fucking world that is just not free. You know, maybe we'd be better off if we weren't free. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't think so. But am I brainwashed to think that? Maybe. Huh? Maybe my perception of freedom is just another fake fucking programmable thought that's been put into me since I entered the school system here fucking all them years ago. I don't know. But, you know, I like the idea that I could buy whatever car I want, when I want, live where I want, move, quit my job, do what I kind of like that. All right, folks, it has been a good stream. I want to thank all the viewers on X because that's where you're there on X. 71 of the people, half of the viewers in here from X, so I can't thank X enough. You guys rock. I am going to figure out how to do a Twitter Spaces somehow or an X Spaces. And we'll try to get that up and running. In the meantime, folks, it's been awesome. I'm glad everybody was in here. Yeah, keep talking. Start questioning these alibis and these statements from these witnesses, and keep your eyes focused on the people that we know that are directly named in the crime itself, that are directly made statements, are offering witness testimony, are police officers, which are offering witness testimony and analysis and da-da-da-da-da. Focus on that aspect of it. See if they can prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Koberger did this. That's what we should all pay attention to. They have to prove it, not satisfy your belief, okay? Or not anything short of that. Just prove to you that he did it with the data that they keep sharing with us. And if it isn't proof in your mind, forget the DNA. Look at the allegations that place him at the home. If none of those make sense, if none of those can be actually proven, if none of those are real, then you got to kind of sit back and ask yourself, what the fuck is going on here? And that's pretty much where I'm at. That's where I am with mine. And I appreciate it all. You guys be good. We'll talk to you again. I'm going to order a pizza. Live from Beijing, China, on top of the Cock Tower with the Scratch of My Balls Convention Center. This is Sergeant Friday with Your Ass Hurts News Network. And Tell Justice Jane, I hope her ass really hurts.